Gary Sheffield has the Braves high atop the East again, but Jim Thome's Phillies will try to cut them down, and Philadelphia's great Harry Kalas gets set to call it on Wednesday Night Baseball. With several key offseason acquisitions, the Phillies thought they had all the pieces to put together a world championship in 2003. But the Philadelphia offensive drought has left them in a familiar spot of chasing the 11-time National League East Division champs.
Sheffield, see you later.
This version of the Braves has been crushing the ball at a record pace. Unlike Braves teams of the past, this one has relied on a potent offense, along with a dominating closer, to give them a comfortable lead atop the National League East. Tonight, as the Phillies try to gain ground, we're joined in the booth by their legendary voice, Harry Kalas.
3-0 pitch. Swing and long drive. There it is. Number 500 for Michael Jack Smith.
It's a key National League East matchup. It's the Braves and Phillies next.
Here's the payoff pitch.
Pitch. Swings, and there it is! A liner caught by his glove into center field.
He did it! He did it! Henry
Veterans Stadium, Philadelphia. It may be mid-June, but this one has important series written all over it. As the first-place Braves try to keep the Phillies in their place. This one features many of the best long ball men in the National League. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Philadelphia. I'm Dave O'Brien, along with Hall of Famer Joe Morgan. And Joe, Gary Sheffield is playing like an MVP this season. At the top of the Atlanta order, they're getting great production and maybe record home run power. But that's not how the Braves won 11 in a row, 11 straight divisions. They did it with pitching, and more pitching. What's up with Atlanta?
Well, I think they're going to try it a different way this year. I really like this ball club because with Furcal at the top, Marcus Giles has been the guy that's made this a solid lineup, hitting in the second spot. We always know Sheffield and Chipper Jones. We know what they're going to do. Javi Lopez is back. This is a very potent ball club, and I actually think they're built better for the postseason now than they were before. They were built for the long haul before with the pitching. Now with this hitting, I think they're built very well for the postseason.
Well, you know, it was supposed to be the Phillies with Jim Thome on board and all the rest of the sluggers. They were supposed to be the home run kings in the National League. Delighted to bring in one of the broadcast kings all time for 33 years, the voice of the Phillies, the great Harry Kalas. And Harry, this is a little bit too late in the season to be calling this early now. It's time for the Phillies to make a move. Are they ready to do it?
Well, I think they are. I think offensively, as you say, Davey, they've struggled, but they feel like in the second half they're going to come around. And really, the reason they're over 500 is their pitching, headed by Kevin Millwood. And Millwood has been a true ace. He has set the stage for the entire starting rotation, and he has really been something. He struggled a little bit lately, but Millwood, I'm sure, is up for this one.
Well, it's against his old club, the Atlanta Braves. Of course, he's already thrown a no-hitter this season. He is on the mound against Russ Ortiz tonight, and great to have the voice of the Phillies, Harry Kalas, with us. Now, plenty of big boppers in this one. Gary Sheffield just might be the MVP in 2003, but Jim Thome's power may be the most prodigious in the National League. It's Wednesday Night Baseball coming up next.
Brought to you by Corona Extra. Relax and enjoy an ice-cold Corona Extra. 10-10-987. No commitment. It's 3 cents a minute and 39 cents to connect. 10-10-987. Capital One. What's in your wallet? And Wendy's new Southwest Chicken Caesar Salad.
It has turned into a beautiful night here in Philadelphia, the cradle of liberty. But we've come to know it in baseball as the home of Harry Kalas, the voice of the Philadelphia Phillies for 33 years. And he got a chance to broadcast another no-hitter recently from that man, the right-hander Kevin Millwood. He is 8-4 with an ERA of 3.72. And a look at the former Atlanta Braves teammates, and some of these guys used to help him win games, but now they're trying to help Ortiz win tonight. Rafael Furcal starts it off. Gary Sheffield having a great season. Andrew Jones, Robert Fick, Javi Lopez, Chipper Jones, power up and down the lineup. Atlanta on a pace to perhaps hit more home runs than anyone has in a single season in Major League history. They've hit 106 coming in. And Joe Morgan up against the righty Millwood, who has been pretty good. He has really been the ace of this staff.
Well, I've watched him pitch several games this year, including a no-hitter, and he has great command. He has great control, changes speeds very well, and he will go with what's going well for him that particular night. I saw him pitch against the Houston Astros, and he used mostly fastballs the last half of the game. First part of the game, he went mixed up with changeups and curveballs, so he has a variety of ways in which to control the hitters.
Well, he's tossed the only no-hitter in the majors this season. Now, defensively, here's how the Phillies line up around him. It'll be Burrow, Bird, and Abreu left to right in the outfield.
Well, on the infield, I think Rollins obviously a very good player. David Bell played well for the Giants last year. He's struggling offensively, but this is a pretty good defense when you look at Rollins at shortstop, because you always want to have a good shortstop. I think that's the key to having a good ball club, you know, being strong up the middle.
Manager Larry Boa, Joe, was a great shortstop in his own right defensively. Says Jimmy Rollins takes a back seat to no one. He has had a spectacular year defensively.
You
well, he should know.
You know, I feel like an ocean should have opened up someplace. Whenever I hear Harry talk, it's like somewhere a sea is parting as Fricall knocks a foul to get us started. Harry Kalas in his 33rd season with the Phillies. You broke in with this franchise, at least here, in 1971.
Very first year of Veterans Stadium, Davey.
And the last year,
because I had to do the ceremonies, MC the ceremonies down in the field. Lots of things to do, and you know, I was very nervous about it my first year in Philadelphia, but I got through it, got back upstairs, only to realize that I had forgotten to introduce the president of the National League, Chubb Feeney. And Chubb couldn't have been more gracious about it. He was wonderful.
Elwood delivers to Fricall, and it's inside for a ball. Marcus Giles to hit next. Harry Kalas, also the 2002 winner of the Ford C. Frick Award, inducted into the Hall of Fame July 28th of 2002. And I know you didn't forget to thank anybody or mention anybody during that speech. That has to be the thrill of any broadcaster's lifetime, down around the shoes for a ball.
Well, Davey, it's the ultimate thrill in the game that I love so much, and that weekend in Cooperstown, my feet never touched the ground. It was just awesome. It was something that I will never forget.
I think 2 is the Hall of Fame limit for any booth, so we're at the limit tonight here in Philadelphia. 2-2 pitch, swatted that foul away by Fricall.
Well, the P and I broke in together, you know.
I was going to remind him, Harry, talking about Philadelphia, but Harry Kalas and I were rookies together in the Houston Astros organization.
He came over the
eighth wonder of the world. He came over from Hawaii, and I came over. Where did I come from? Wherever.
Bonham, Texas.
Bonham, Texas. You're right. Right down the street there. So we started off. We were rookies together.
Now, you referred to Joe Morgan, as you always do, as P, which is short for Sweet Pea.
That's correct.
We're going to have to get to the genesis of that as Fricall strikes out, swinging, and Millwood gets his first man.
Well, you see the Sweet Pea. I mean, you see him, Davey, in the booth. He's always smiling.
Yes.
He's always laughing.
Right.
He's a sweet man, you know. And pound for pound, as good a ball player as there ever was in baseball.
I'll vouch for that. But now, I got to hear your nickname for Harry, because this is just as funny.
Well, we just call him the Thing. It's weird. We're all Jimmy Wynn, Harry Kalas, Doug Rader, Norm Miller. I mean, we all kind of hung out together. You know, we're all young players there.
The Thing, huh?
Yeah, the Thing. Jimmy Wynn, of course, the toy cannon. Norm Miller was Stormin' Norman. We had several nicknames for Doug Rader, but we can't put them on the air here.
Dr.
Yeah, Dr. But we had a good time beginning, you know, starting off a bunch of young guys loving to be in the major leagues.
Marcus Giles almost gets hit on the elbow there. Gary Sheffield on deck. A .315 average for Giles with 8 home runs. They get some power out of the number 2 spot here, too.
I think he's been really the key to this offense this year. Fricall has had good years before, and all the other guys, Chipper Jones, Andrew Jones, etc. But this guy has been just a rock hitting in that second spot.
I don't know what they fed those Giles boys growing up. His brother Brian's only about 5'9", and you know he's a guy who hits 40 home runs a year.
I saw him last year, and he was in Durham. I went down for a ceremony there, and he was playing in the minor leagues, and we talked, and he was having a great year there. He had like 28 home runs, and he was looking forward to getting a chance to, you know, win a job in the big leagues this year. Bobby Cox gave him that opportunity, and Bobby said he's never looked back. He's played really well from the opening day of spring training.
Fricall and Giles have really set the table for this lineup. They have been a big difference. They seem to always be on base.
To his left, Bell, very sure-handed third baseman, not having a good offensive year, but makes the play for out number 2. And now we'll get a look at Gary Sheffield.
Well, that's what Millwood does to you right there, Dave. He keeps you off balance. You can see Giles kind of reaching for it. He'll throw some change-ups. He'll throw curveballs. He throws the slider. He throws a lot of different pitches, but everything is just to keep you off balance. And he mixes his speeds very well. But this guy here, he handles everything.
Well, you'd better be mixing speeds, because if it's dead red, it's gone. Gary Sheffield with a remarkable season, the number 3 hitter in the National League, also in the top 10 in homers, RBIs, on base percentage, slugging, you name it. And when you talk about pure bat speed, Harry, who have you seen faster than this guy through the hitting area?
I don't know as I can name anybody that's faster through the strike zone than Sheff.
He might actually be quicker to the ball this year. That's down low.
I think he is. Dusty Baker said something 2 years ago. He said there are 2 guys you never want to throw a fastball to. I don't care what the situation. He said Gary Sheffield and Moises Alou. He said they're the 2 best fastball hitters in the National League. And he said it didn't matter who was throwing it.
Base is empty here. Sheffield lays off. It's downstairs. They count 3-0. Now Millwood coming off a rough outing. He lasted just 3 1/3. Gave up 8 runs on Friday the 13th.
Yeah, there was a full moon that night also in Cincinnati in a Great American Ballpark, which is no question a hitter's yard. And you know, pitchers complain about that mound at Great American Park, and that could have been in Millwood's head. Every pitcher, including Cincinnati pitchers, are complaining about the mound. They say it's too low and it doesn't slope, and so Millwood really struggled in that game, but I'm sure he's on a mission tonight.
Well, you made the point, though. That is a bandbox.
Yeah.
Ballpark. The ball flies out of there.
The Reds hitters have become awfully fond of it, though. Sheffield loops that one back out of play. It's always the double-edged sword. I mean, Philadelphia has built a brand new ballpark, Citizens Bank, which will be open next year, Harry.
Right.
We'll see how that plays, but you'd think if it's the same dimensions of Veterans Field, it should be a fair park.
I think it'll be a fair park, yes. Should be an exciting opening, a new ballpark, Citizens Bank Park next year, and they did a lot of it around Camden Yards in Baltimore, which is a great ballpark. They have Ashburn Alley there from left center field to right center field, a walkway. That'll be great.
Great.
Of course, your old partner Richie Ashburn.
Right, 27 years together.
Both the other way, and a base hit. Tomey couldn't quite reach it. So Sheffield on a 3-2 pitch knocks a single to right field.
I've seen Sheffield do this a lot more lately than ever before. I did broadcast the game on Sunday in Seattle, and he had 2 base hits to the right side with 2 strikes.
Well, Chipper Jones to hit with a man on and 2 out. And these 2 are very good friends, Chipper and Kevin Millwood. So this will be fascinating. I mean, sometimes maybe a pitcher wants to establish that for the next 3 hours we're not very good friends, and I'm going to toss it under your chin and shave you a little bit.
I don't think Kevin will do that, but Kevin is really good against left-hand hitters because he starts the ball inside and it comes back over to the inside corner. If the umpire stays with that pitch, the hitter gives up on it, but it comes back in and hits the inside corner.
Well, that pitch there, he just threw it by him.
That was away.
Yeah, I just think that Chipper Jones might have been thinking what you're thinking, that he's going to pitch him inside.
Setting up inside.
And
Breaking
down and
ball.
in there on the breaking pitch. Andrew Jones up next. Atlanta coming in, leading in the East by 6.5 over the Montreal Expos, 9 over this Philadelphia club. The schedule doesn't get any easier immediately, Harry.
No, play the Braves here tomorrow afternoon, and then the Boston Red Sox move in for the weekend, and the Phillies get Pedro on Saturday.
Well, the fans will be
we'll
happy
have
to see
big
that.
crowds. We're going to have crowds of over 50,000 both Friday and Sunday. Michael Jack Schmidt bobbing head dowels and Steve Carlton bobbing head dowels.
Wow.
Yeah.
And for the same weekend.
Yes, all of the 80, most of the 80 guys are all going to be back for a big weekend celebration.
The championship club, another late swing by Chipper Jones. I think you're absolutely right. Millwood is adrenalized tonight. That fastball moving at 93 miles an hour.
Well, what he's been able to do is throw it up. that's where Chipper Jones has more problems with the fastball. Up, and a lot of times you can get in on him, but he is throwing very well. That ball had a lot of movement on it.
2 down and a 1-2 pitch to Chipper. Line drive, and that one right by the head of Kevin Millwood.
Well, good job by Chipper Jones there. He cut down on his swing and just had a 2-strike swing, laid the bat on the ball, and lined it right back through the middle. This is what you call making an adjustment. That's high fastball. Look at that. He just kind of guides it back. Millwood moves a little late, but luckily it wasn't right back at him. But good hitting there by Chipper Jones.
So 2 on, and the batter is Andrew Jones.
One of the things you do not see as much anymore, Dave, is that when guys get 2 strikes, they cut down on their swing. Now guys are still going for the pump. That's why you have more strikeouts. But that was a great job there by Chipper Jones.
Andrew Jones on at the plate now with a couple of men aboard in Sheffield and Jones. And Andrew has already hit 18 home runs. And Atlanta as a team hitting .283, which is second in the National League, has hit more home runs than anybody on the senior circuit. Into the dirt, stopped by Lieberthal. Nice play by the former Gold Glover.
Harry, is this carpet still very quick? I mean, it looks like
it's not like the AstroTurf used to be. This is next turf, and it's not quite as fast, but it's a little more spongy.
Yeah, because we see very few AstroTurf fields anymore in baseball.
Fouled off to the left by Andrew. Harry, say spongy again for me. Just that one word.
A little spongy.
There it is.
And nobody says spongy like Harry Callis.
Not Andrew with 18 homers and 52 RBIs. You know he can go catch the ball in the outfield. Don't expect this kind of power production from him.
Well, the 52 RBIs are what's impressive to me too, Harry, because you know that means you're hitting in the clutch. You're doing what you're supposed to do as an outfielder. But like you mentioned, I mean, a lot of people think he's the best center fielder ever. Bobby Cox says he's the best center fielder ever. I can't.
You ever see Mays?
Yeah, I know. Me and you, we go back to Willie Mays era, so I can't say that, but I think he obviously is a great center fielder.
3-1 pitch in tight for ball 4. And so Millwood has pitched himself into some trouble here after striking out for call and getting Giles to tap out to third. Now the bases are loaded. He tossed that no-hitter against the Giants, the only man who's thrown a no-hitter all by himself this year in baseball, April 27th. Since then, 4-3.
Yeah, he is, but he's also been shut out twice. The Phillies have not supported him with many runs, and here's a guy the Phillies just haven't been able to get out. This guy, Fick, is 9 for 16 against the Phillies this year.
Well, he definitely didn't want to have to face him with the bases loaded there. I think he's thrown a little harder. I think he's gotten away from what he does best.
I would wanted that one, didn't get it.
That was a cut fastball, it looked like, but before it looked like he was just overthrowing, maybe throwing too hard. But see, what he does best, as I said, is change speeds, keep the hitters off balance, and he did that with the first 2 hitters.
Well, facing yet another 300 hitter in the lefty batter Fick, and he swung right through that pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Same pitch. It's either a cut fastball or a slider. They call them cut fastballs, but they're really more of a slider. You can see the ball break down a little bit. An actual cut fastball just moves across the zone, but everyone has different terminology for pitches now.
Millwood working from the stretch with the bases loaded. And a fly ball deep to right field along the line. That one might be deep enough, but it is going to be out of play. And just a little short in any event. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Well, he got that in on his hands just enough. He jammed him, and therefore he wasn't able to drive it. Watch this. It's the same pitch, and it gets in on his hands just enough on the label.
Well, as a Phillies guy, Dave, I'm hoping that my late great partner Richie Ashburn, whenever you struck out the first hitter in the game, Harry, that's bad luck. Of course, Whitey was a leadoff man.
Yeah.
Harry, that's bad luck. You know, so I'm hoping that does not prove out here tonight for Kevin Millwood and the Phillies.
Well, wherever he is, he's saying it right now. Base is jammed in the 1-2 pitch as he looks for a strikeout. Didn't get it there. 2-2. The Phillies won last night 4-3. Dramatic win.
Ninth inning walk-off win. David Bell knocking in the game winner after Jimmy Rollins failed on a bunt try to get a runner to second base. Then he hit a swinging bunt that ended up being a base hit and an overthrow by Javi at first base, and Bell followed through.
4-3 Philadelphia in that one. That's up top for ball 3. Boy, a long inning for Millwood.
He started out that way, but it is now. Now he's just got to challenge Fick with a fastball. Here it is, 3-2, no room on base for him.
I think he should have done that 2-2, but he tried to overpower him. And again, I think he's just, maybe we were talking about it earlier, the adrenaline is flowing. He's overthrowing a little bit.
The runners to get a head start here. There they go. Ground ball sharply, and that's a fair ball. It gets by Thome. He went slamming the ground with that right hand because he missed it, and 2 runs in as Sheffield and Chipper Jones score. A 2-run single for Vic. He continues to wear out the Philadelphia Phillies. 2-0 Atlanta.
10 for 17 now, Dave, against the Phillies this year. He came into the game lifetime a .481 hitter against the Phillies.
Well, this ball is just barely fair. I mean, drills it down the line. Now Thome makes a dive for it, and you can see it's already fouled by the time it gets to Thome, but apparently it went over the bag. Let's see if we can see this. Well, I couldn't see it, but it was very close at first base. But Lieberthal, who is the catcher, he didn't argue, so it tells me that it probably was a fair ball.
Yep, Larry Bowa staying inside the dugout. So 2 runs come in.
Yeah, and I think if there was a question as to whether it was fair or foul, I think Mr. Bowa would have popped out of that dugout in a hurry.
Pretty good chance, yeah. Now, is he as fiery?
He's calmed down a little bit, as much as Larry Bowa can. I mean, he still takes the games home every night, but he's only been ejected a couple times this year. One was an automatic ejection.
Javi Lopez having a great season. He's hit 19 home runs so far for the Braves. Yeah, Bobby Cox has been ejected 5 times.
Yeah, I was going to say
last night was his 6th.
Yeah, Bobby gets thrown out. He argues pitches, though. That's automatic ejection, like you said.
Well, his team off to a good start tonight. 3 hits in the inning, all with 2 outs. Javi Lopez taking out. So I guess the biggest difference in Lopez this year, Joe, is that he's just healthy.
Yeah, well, and he got off to a good start. I think that has a lot to do with you know what happens to you. Baseball is really far more mental than people give it credit. If you get off to a good start, you feel like you're swinging well, and everything kind of falls into place.
Good swing by Lopez, but fouled it away.
If you get off to a slow start, then you start experimenting, changing things, and before you know it, you're really confused. So I think getting off to a good start is what really helped Javi this year. And being healthy, as you mentioned. Of course, he has to be healthy, but I've always thought of him as one of the better clutch hitters in the game. I mean, you get a runner at second with 2 outs in the late innings, or you need a sacrifice fly, he always delivers.
Wood tried a breaking ball there, and it rolled off his hand. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Well, last year, 229, 4 home runs in this day. Look at that difference.
Only hit 11 total home runs last year in the entire season, but he did spend 2 stints on the disabled list.
Able to stay off it so far this year. Swing and a miss on a changeup, and he got him. So he started that inning with a strikeout. He ended it with a strikeout, but in between 3 hits and 2 runs, and it's 2-0 Atlanta. Tonight baseball from Philadelphia, 2-0 Atlanta. Dave O'Brien along with Sweet Pea and the Thing. And Bobby Abreu will lead things off for Philadelphia. Placido Polanco out of the number 2 slot with Pat Burrell, the left fielder, just having a devil of a time. Jim Thome is hitting tape measure shots, but so far they're not scoring runs the way they had hoped. It's been an off year for David Bell. Marlon Byrd was supposed to be the odds-on favorite for Rookie of the Year. He's swinging a better bat in recent days, and are up against the right-hander Russ Ortiz. Joe, he's 7-4 coming in.
Well, Ortiz is a power pitcher. I mean, he throws just about everything hard, and he just needs to have control. He's a little erratic sometimes, but when he throws strikes, he's very difficult to hit.
Bobby Abreu in the leadoff spot, and Harry, that's not how the year began. He's been a middle of the order kind of a guy. Jimmy Rollins has moved down in the order.
Jimmy Rollins has moved down in the order. Bobby Abreu is among the league leaders in walks, and he has a good eye, and so his on-base percentage a lot higher than Rollins. And Larry Ball wanted him to lead off. Bobby said, okay, I'm not sure Bobby really likes leading off. I think he wants to have more in the middle of the order, but for now they're trying it.
Well, he's been a guy that, you know, driven in runs in the past, and that's probably why he wants to hit in the middle of the order.
Good fastball in there for a strike, but for Rollins, it's working out pretty well. Last night he had 4 hits.
Jimmy, since he's hit either 6th or 7th, is 7 for 9. So
well, that works.
Rollins tonight hitting out of the 6th spot, as he did yesterday. See how long they stay with that. That's down low. Do you think that's just a temporary thing, or I mean, I guess if he keeps hitting what 800, he'll continue to bat there, huh?
Well, that they really impressed upon Jimmy Rollins, or tried to in the spring, that you got to get on base more, that you got to take walks, and so he became tentative. He didn't really, you know, swing the bat with authority at all. Now all of a sudden that pressure, if you got to take walks, is off him, and he's swinging the bat with authority.
Well, there's a very thin line between, you know, being patient and being aggressive. I mean, a lot of guys, when they tell them they want to walk, they lose their aggressiveness. And I think it's a combination. You have to be aggressive still, but you just have to make sure that you're getting strikes.
Abreu with a great eye. He walks a lot. He pokes that one through the hole. A base hit that'll roll way out to Chipper Jones, and it's a long single for Bobby Abreu.
Oh, there's the defense. Chipper Jones in left made a fine play there to cut that ball off. Andrew, Gold Glove winner. Gary Sheffield in right, very strong arm. This is a pretty good defense for Kyle and Giles, especially for Kyle. He made a lot of errors early, but he's been playing very good baseball lately defensively.
And probably the best shortstop arm in the National League.
Great arm.
And I'll tell you what, the New York Mets have a young kid, Jose Reyes, who may be able to match him. They just brought up from the minors. He's as young as they get. He was 19 when they called him up. He turned 20 over the first road trip of his life. But he's got a spectacular arm too. I'm
looking forward to seeing him. I'm going to see him on Sunday, Mets-Yankees series, and I'm looking forward to seeing him. I hear he's pretty special.
Yep, Sunday Night Baseball from New York as the Subway Series gets geared up again. Placido Polanco, the hitter. Harry Kalas in the booth with us tonight. 1959 graduate of the University of Iowa. Then, Harry, you went into the Army. You became sports director at KGU Radio in Hawaii.
Right.
Boy, do you know how to pick your spots, man. Hawaii, broadcasting games for the Hawaii Islanders and the University of Hawaii.
Yeah, if you're going to do minor league ball, Davey, I can't think of a better place to do it than Hawaii. And I was fortunate enough to be over there in Hawaii in the military when the Hawaii Islanders joined the Pacific Coast League in 1961, and was able to become the first broadcaster of the Hawaii Islanders. So I feel very fortunate.
I'm amazed you left.
Well, yeah, the Astros called.
That's right.
Yeah, I had to see that sweet pea in his rookie season. You know,
But you were one of the original members of the Houston Astros broadcasting team.
Yes, of course they were the Colt 45s before then. So Houston, but it was the first year of the Astros in the Astrodome. Yes.
You also did Notre Dame football, did you not? At one point in your career.
Some Notre Dame football, the replay show, worked with George Connor and Jack Snow.
Runner going in the throw in front of the bag, deflected by Giles. A stolen base for Abreu. Got a good jump. And slid in with the theft.
Well, Abreu got a good jump, but Giles is late getting there. If he's there waiting for this throw, they may have a chance. Now watch where the throw is. If he gets there, Lopez comes up and fires. Now if he's there, he can catch it and tag him, but he's late getting there. And that's one of the things I found a lot lately. Infielders late getting to the bag.
Why do you think the reason is?
I have no idea, because I watched him. I watched Giles do the same thing in Seattle on Sunday. he was late on a similar play.
So Polanco can pick up an RBI here, but he's just a very good professional hitter.
He'll try to move the runner.
Yeah.
He'll try to move the runner to third base. He'll try to hit the ball on the right side. He'll make Ortiz throw a strike here, though.
I watched him play Polanco when he was at St. Louis. I watched him play lots of games. Never saw him do anything that wasn't in the best interest of his team.
Right.
Never. I mean, he is a true team player.
Very highly regarded around baseball, and he takes outside for ball 4. And so here come the Phillies. The fighting Phils are down 2-0, but their first 2 men are aboard here with Thome coming up.
You know, you're always taught the second baseman to get to the bag, wait for the throw, and just drop the tag down. Now watch, if he's there, he may have a chance to catch this ball and make the tag, but he's still moving, and the ball's moving. You're not going to short hop a ball or make the play when that happens. I even saw Derek Jeter and Alfonso Soriano in a game I did at Cincinnati. Both were late on plays like that, and the calls went against them. I just think that all of a sudden guys are not getting to the bag in time. I think maybe because people weren't stealing bases much anymore.
Inside for a ball on Thome.
Guess you're not looking for a bunt here, huh?
No. You know, of all the guys, when you watch him hit, I love watching Jim Thome hit because he never gets cheated either. Ooh. I mean, he opens his hips. I mean, he reminds me of Eddie Matthews and some of the real old-time sluggers. I mean, his hips clear, and he lets the bat come through the zone.
Ortiz fires. Yeah, he wasn't cheated.
You see that star up there in the exit way in the upper deck? That's where Wilver Dornell Willie Stargell hit a ball. The longest at Veterans Stadium. I just have a feeling that sometime this year this guy is going to hit one as far or maybe further.
Yeah, that's. I have to tell you, I saw Stargell hit one in Pittsburgh that's similar to that, and I still can't believe it.
Oh, he hit it hard, but foul. Well, he hits everything hard when he hits it.
Yeah, when he makes contact, first base coach has to be on his toes. Tony Scott has to be on his toes with Thome up there.
Well, the pitch is inside. See how he clears his hips. Watch his front side. See, that allows him to get the barrel through the zone. He got it a little too quickly there, but that's why he can generate a lot of power. He clears his hips, and that lets the bat fly through the zone better. Easier, I should say.
And he's seeing, you know, Jim is seeing pitchers for the first time. Like, he's never faced Ortiz, so with his first year in the National League, he's got to learn pitchers, all new pitchers than what he's been used to seeing.
The 1-2 is too far inside.
And Harry, that's a great point. And a lot of people always wonder, well, what do you mean? The guy's throwing. He's throwing a fastball. He's throwing a curveball. He's throwing a slider. And that's true. But what you do as a hitter, because hitting is so difficult to do, you kind of anticipate things because you've seen the guy. When you see a fastball starting a certain zone, you know where it's going to end up, where it's going to move to. And if you haven't seen the guy, you're still kind of guessing at trying to hit a 95-mile-an-hour moving fastball.
Let it
You
go.
can always go back and say, how did this guy get me out the last time? Oh, yeah, he tried to do this, and so you got a little book on it. And
yeah, you just do not have, he doesn't have a frame of reference here because, all right, here we are in this situation 3-2. He doesn't know what Ortiz might do, but in the past, like you say, if he had some history, he'd know what he did to him that was successful, and he would anticipate that.
Well, he has seen his fastball. Giles flips it to Fricall. One there on the first double play. 4-6-3. And Rayo moving down to third.
And the reason they couldn't hit and run there or send the runners is because Thome does strike out a lot. So you can't send them, but if he sends them, they stay out of the double play there. This unusual double play because Fricall was over on the second base side. He had to hustle back, got back, and they turned the double play. The ball was hit sharply, so it becomes a routine double play.
Harry, the new park that opens next year, that'll be a grass field.
yes.
So they're not going to bring this carpet over.
No.
For old time's sake. A swing and a miss by Pat Burrell. And among the National League regulars, only Fernando Tatis in Montreal has hit for a lower batting average than Burrell's .203. What's going on with him?
He has struggled most of the year and hovered around the Mendoza line most of the year. It's something I don't think he's experienced in his amateur or professional career, and I think he's just mystified. And he's gone to trying a lot of different things, and instead of just basic see the ball and hit it, I think he's trying to pull the ball a lot instead of going the other way with it. But it's been a struggle for Pat.
Yeah, and his average is not going in the right direction, as you saw from that graphic. It's dipping. The 0-2. Did he check? They appeal, and he did, according to Terry Kraft. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Well, what happens is, you start a little sooner, as Harry said, you start to experiment. That's why I say Javi's doing well. He got off to a good start, didn't have to change anything. But Barrow got off to a slow start, and he's been experimenting, and you try a lot of different things. And when you're late on the fastball, you actually start sooner, and anytime you start too soon, you're susceptible to swinging at bad pitches, which I'm sure that's part of his problem too, because when you're not seeing the ball well and waiting, you're going to swing at a lot of bad pitches, especially when you're behind the count.
Abreu leading off third, 2 away. Ball 3.
And this is Ortiz. I mean, he's going to throw a lot of pitches because he can't seem to put hitters away. He can get ahead, but he doesn't put hitters away a lot of times either. And like I say, his control is always spotty, so to speak. So
he's 6th in the league in issuing walks.
Right. So if the Phillies are patient, they're going to get a lot of pitches, and they're going to get a lot of pitches to hit.
Yeah, pitch, he struck him out, and that for the 76th time this year. Pat Burrell has Fan and a runner left over at third base. Nothing across for Philadelphia. Top half of the second inning here at the Vet in Philadelphia. Harry Kalas, Joe Morgan, Dave O'Brien with him. A couple of Hall of Famers in the broadcast booth tonight as the Phillies and the Braves tangle in what has to be at least a fairly important inside the division battle of this 3-game series, which started last night with the Phillies winning 4-3. If the Phillies are going to kind of climb back into contention, if they have eyes on a division title, it'll be a long way back. They're out by 9 behind these Braves. Vinny Castilla leading off the inning. Then it'll be Ortiz, and then for call here, 2-0 Atlanta. We'll see if Millwood can conquer some of that difficulty he had in the first inning when he gave up after there were 2 out, 3 hits, and walked a man. That's outside for ball.
Vinny Castilla, Dave, is only 2 for 13 lifetime off Millwood, but both hits have been home runs.
Well, Vinny's also swinging the bat better this year, after a very slow start last year.
Foul back out of play. Let's go back to that situation with Giles, Joe.
Well, in between innings, Glenn Hubbard's kind of the infield coach, Freddie Gonzalez. And I guess he's saying he didn't hear him say he was running because he's pointing out there. And Pendleton was talking to him about it. And even Bobby Cox, after he finished, every infielder coach they have there talked to him about being late at second base. You can't be late. Not only on the tag plays, but double plays. The middle infielders have to get to the bag. I mean, that's the first thing you have to be taught. You get to the bag and then adjust or whatever. But you can't be late. I mean, even on a double play, if you take it on the run, you're going to mess up a lot of times. But again, I mean, I found it interesting because every one of those guys were infielders in their playing days, and each one of them called him and talked to him individually.
Heck,
Mazzoni is content just to rock. He's not going to talk to him.
About to say, completely ignored him. Over to first base for the out. Castilla is retired. Let's go back to one of Harry Kalas' most memorable calls in the broadcast booth.
The 3-0 pitch. Swing and long drive. There it is. Number 500. The career 500th home run for Michael Jack Smith. And the Phillies have regained the lead in Pittsburgh. 8-6. And the Phillies dugout comes forward.
Now, it's quite a thrill to have called the entire career of Hall of Famer Michael Jack Schmidt. He was really some player.
Yes, he was.
548 home runs. I called most of them.
Well, I was a teammate of the one year I played here, and I tell you, he had unbelievable amount of ability. I mean, he was great.
He was so agile for a big man. I mean, this was a man who was big and strong, but really agile.
Could run, could field, could throw. I mean, he could do everything. Could steal bases. I mean, he was a complete player.
I think with all the home runs, this current generation of baseball fans, they look at 548 and they go, wow, that's impressive. They forget what a great defensive third baseman Mike Schmidt was. The best ever, perhaps. Yeah,
well, he was the best that I've ever seen. I mean, of course, they'll argue with you Brooks Robinson, of course, in the American League. I didn't see Brooks that much, but Mike is the best that I've ever seen, you know, on a daily basis.
High ball and run.
And I don't see how anybody could be better. I'll just leave it at that. I know Brooks was great, and I'm sure he was, but, you know, Mike Schmidt, he could play deep. He had a great arm. He had a strong arm, quick release, and he had good hands.
Ortiz, pretty good hitter, 218 lifetime, but he was late on that one. Millwood strikes him out. Now, of course, when you're as good as Harry Kalas and as legendary as he is, well, you're going to have a lot of imitators, and some of them are pretty good.
Yeah.
Here's the 3-0 pitch. Swinging a long drive. There it is. Number 500. The career 500th home run for Michael Jack Schmidt. And the Phillies have regained the lead 8-6. And the Phillies dugout is emptying out, and Schmitty is being mobbed at home plate.
That's Joe Coughlin. He's a local radio personality and comedian. And
Wow. He's outstanding.
He does a great job.
Outstanding. Does he do anybody else?
I think Joe does, yeah. But he's always been very good, and he's a good friend.
Wow.
Funny man.
Well, if we didn't have him on camera, I might have thought it was you.
No doubt about it.
You know, speaking of all those milestones, I mean, Steve Carlton. I mean, you know, what is your most memorable, you know, call or game that you did for Steve?
Oh, there were so many for Lefty. Unfortunately, he matched, you know, with Rocky getting his 4,000 strikeout.
No.
Bounding ball as Rollins has to get rid of it quickly, and it's not going to be quick enough. An infield hit.
Another runner, perhaps, but not for call. You know, he was with San Francisco when he got his 4,000 strikeout, so I didn't get a chance to call that. But, you know, there were so many games that he pitched. It was interesting. I had forgotten that. I try to forget negative things, but Lefty was a 20-game loser one year, and the next year he came back to win 27 and win the Cy Young Award.
You know what? Yeah, I'd forgotten too. I don't remember him losing 20.
He was just a horse.
Yeah,
you know?
he was.
Just give him the ball, and he never knew who the batter was. He never did. Like, he wouldn't know this is Marcus Giles. Every batter was the same. He pitched to quadrants. He did not pitch to a batter. He pitched low and away, low middle, low up, and you know, he had 6 different quadrants of the plate, and that's what he pitched to.
Yeah.
But he was awesome.
He was awesome. I was fortunate enough again to play with him that one year, and he was awesome even then. And you know, that was toward the end, but I mean, he was unbelievable.
Do you remember how many games that Philadelphia Phillies team won the year he won 27 games? It was a bad club, right? It was a really bad team.
I think it was. Yeah, I think that was in I want to say 73.
He won, but he definitely won. What did he won? 40% of their games.
40-some% of the games.
Yeah.
Fouled off by Giles.
And I mean, he was amazing that year because, like you said, the team was so, you know, poor. It wasn't a good team, but every time he pitched. But I think that's one thing that happens when you're a good pitcher as he is. You can lift some of the guys on that day that you're out there. You know, I remember the days I went behind, say, a Tom Seaver or somebody. It kind of lifted the whole team. I mean, that's what it's all about. Just as a good hitter can do that, you know, pitchers can definitely do it.
The speedy for call over there at first base. Millwood has allowed 29 stolen bases. It's more than any pitcher in the big leagues.
Just been given a note. It was in 1972. Carlton won 27 of the team's 59 games. 59 wins that year. Lefty wins 27 of them.
So every day he took the ball and went out to the mound, they were the best team in baseball.
Yeah, pretty much so. Yeah.
Not so when he wasn't pitching. 2-0 Atlanta here in the second inning. And, you know, as regards Steve Carlton, he's legendary for what he does on the mound first and foremost, but didn't talk to the media for long stretches in his career. But when he first started here in Philadelphia, was he a little more outgoing? Would he talk with the press? Would he communicate with people?
Well, yeah, and I had a great relationship with Lefty, and so he would. I mean, after games.
Runner goes no throw. It'll be a stolen base without the chuck by Lieberthal.
Well, there's for call, and the good thing there is he seemed relaxed. He wasn't like all tense like he was going to take off. So he kind of confused Millwood. But as you mentioned, I mean, Millwood has not been able to stop base runners all year.
No, base stealers have taken liberties on Kevin. What Kevin does is out there, he's worried about getting the hitter out. He doesn't worry so much about the base runner. Go ahead and take it. I'm going to get the next guy out is his philosophy.
Giles pops it up. Yep, he's going to do it because Tomey's underneath it and clinches it for out number 3. So despite the single and the stolen base, a much better inning in the second than the first for Millwood. 2-0 Atlanta. Bottom 2 here in Philadelphia. 2-0 Atlanta. Nice to have you along with us on Wednesday Night Baseball from the vet. Mike Lieberthal up against Russ Ortiz, who makes his 16th start of the year. Atlanta has won 10 out of the 15 that he's pitched in. So he's been very effective. Harry Kalas, we're thrilled to have the Hall of Famer in the booth with us here this evening, along with fellow Hall of Famer Joe Morgan. That earthquake-inducing voice of yours, where did that come from, Harry?
God-given. My daddy was a minister, and I guess I inherited it from him. He had a big booming voice, and I was never aware. I knew early on in high school that I wasn't going to make it as a player, and I loved this game of baseball. And I thought, why not broadcasting? Then I really didn't know whether I'd have the voice for it or not until my first year in college. At Cornell College in Mount Vernon, Iowa, I had a blind speech professor, Dr. Walter Stromer, and he really encouraged me. He said, after hearing me speak, he said, "You've got the type of voice can make a great living in radio and television." I thought, well, I'm going to go for it then. But he was very inspirational, yes.
I'll bet your dad could preach a little bit. A 2-1 pitch to Lieberthal. It's in there for a strike. On deck, Jimmy Rollins.
Well, Harry's part of the reason that I became a broadcaster as well, Dave. You know, I was hurt a couple of times in Houston. I'd go up in the booth with him. You know, I was on a disabled list, and I'd go on the air with Harry, and he said, you know, you do pretty well as an interviewer, so just, you know.
Joe's got a great feel of the game. I think that's wonderful as a color analyst to anticipate situations which you always could do as a player.
Well, I had to.
Yeah.
I think, you know, I wasn't the biggest guy in the world, whatever, but I think one of the things I learned right away is that Nellie Fox, Bob Lillis, Joe Gaines, Eddie Casco, and those guys, they taught me those things right at the beginning. And that's how I learned to play the game, through those guys teaching me how to play, and I just took that to the booth with me.
Lieberthal tags that one to right, but not quite deep enough, and Sheffield settles underneath it. And that's out number 1 in this inning. Well, Larry Bowa, the skipper of the Philadelphia club, a big admirer of Harry Kalas's, and he's going to take some credit for something here.
I just tell how he coined the phrase, "that ball's out of here." You know, I was standing behind home plate one day, and it was early in his career, and I think Greg Lazinski or Schmitty was hitting balls, and I was watching him hit, and I went, "that ball's out of here." And from that day on, he sort of picked up on it. But obviously, I'm not anywhere nearly as good as Harry Kalas, and he put a stamp on that, and that's his trademark ever since. And he's in the Hall of Fame.
It does sound a little different when Harry says it.
No, that is true, though.
But
I was standing around the batting cage, and Boa said Luzinski had went in the upper deck. Wow, that ball's way out of here. And I thought, that was a neat ring. That's how I got the call out of here.
And it's really strange. A lot of people may not realize, you know, play-by-play guys, you know, some have their own distinctive call, you know, of each home run being the same. I did some play-by-play when I was retired. I was with the Giants. And half the time I didn't know what to say. But, you know, guys like you and who've been doing this for a long period of time, you know, they usually come up with their perfect phrase that works for them. And it sounds better when they say it.
You didn't do what the great Russ Hodges did, huh? You didn't tell it bye-bye, baby.
Well, you know, I'm sure I did a couple of times. And Lon Simmons, I used a little there. I mean, a few times, you know. But I could never find anything I thought fit that just came out automatically. You know, that's why I'm not a play-by-play guy.
Well, you got to have a great home run call. You got to have a great nickname, and you had Sweet Pea already, so you didn't have to worry about anything. It was all downhill from there. Once you get the nickname, man, you're all set.
I mean, it's so funny because Harry Kalas, Jimmy Wynn, and Doug Rader, I mean, they don't know. I don't think they know my first name. I mean, that's the way they always call me that, the Sweet Pea. Or they shorten it to the P or something, but it was always that. I mean, I don't know. Again, I can't remember last time one of them called me Joe.
2-2 on Rollins, And that one just low. In fact, I ran into Harry last Monday in Anaheim. We were both working a series out there, and Harry said, "Well, is P working the game next week?" I said, "No, but Joe Morgan's working the game." He said, "Well, that's what I mean." So I haven't called him Joe Morgan in decades.
No, he didn't, and he's right about that.
3-2 home, and spoiled again by Rollins.
I mean, that was kind of the time of nicknames. You know, guys had nicknames, whatever. The toy cannon. You know, I mean, Jimmy's fit perfectly. The toy cannon. I mean, it really did.
Did you ever hang a nickname on a player that stuck for the rest of his career? I mean, maybe early on.
I don't think so, Davey. Can't recall offhand.
A pop up by Rollins into shallow left field, and Fricall is out to get it. And in fair territory, that is out number 2. Let's go to the studio. Here's Dave Revson. Dave.
Thank you, Dave. Tough Atkinson taking us to Cincy. Sammy Sosa, first at bat back from the suspension. Kind of a mixed reception for him in Cincinnati. He ends up getting one of 3 first-inning singles for the Cubs, although they did not score in the inning. Now the next time up, Sammy grounding to short with a runner in scoring position. This one still scoreless. They're in the top of the 4th, guys.
All right, thank you very much, Dave, and we'll have further updates throughout the night on Sammy Sosa's return after the suspension for the cork bat incident. And I know that Sammy wants it all to go away and the fans to forgive him. Over time, of course, they're going to forgive Sammy, and especially if he does something incredible again, maybe makes a run one day at the 73 home runs. Just being Sammy is going to help. But no question right now he's tainted. Driven to center field off the bat of Bell, and a catch made by Andrew Jones. So that was hit well by Bell. 1, 2, 3 they go, and after 2 it remains 2-0 Atlanta. Harry Callis is down. Philadelphia, PA 2-0. That's our score with Atlanta on top of the Phils. And our living legend Harry Callis in the booth with us tonight. Joining Joe Morgan, Dave O'Brien. Nice to have you along as Gary Sheffield takes the first pitch for ball 1. Who was the biggest influence for you, Harry, in terms of other play-by-play guys when you listened to as a kid?
Oh, there were so many. As a kid, I was raised in Chicago, so it would have been Jack Brickhouse and Bert Wilson and Bob Ellison and Harry Carey. And then once I got to the major leagues, I got to know Harry Carey and Jack Buck and Vin Scully and Bob Prince, and they were so great with a young broadcaster that they were really influential on me.
You know, you have the same reputation as a guy that young broadcasters come to whenever we come to Philadelphia, needing to talk to you, get the rundown on your club, just to hear the sound of your voice. Because if we're living in another part of the country, we don't get to hear you very often, except when we come into Philadelphia, and then it's a great treat for us. A strike in there to Sheffield, and it's 3-1. And then you meet a guy like a Harry Carey, and he's been someone you've listened to, and then you meet him for the first time.
Yes.
What do you do?
Yeah, Harry was really great, and of course still hear him at Wrigley Field doing that good old 7th inning stretch, take me out to the ball game.
It was interesting though, Harry. I mean, I know
his son is here in the booth right alongside us. Skip Carey is here.
That's right. He is here with the Braves.
Skip is here as a broadcaster for the Atlanta Braves, and Skip's son Chip is now with the Cubs.
Right.
There's Skip Carey. Does a great job as the voice of the Atlanta Braves and has done the Braves for many years.
He is that city's signature baseball voice. Down low to Gary Sheffield, so he's reached base twice. A single and ball 4 now.
Yeah, that's another reason why you say, okay, this guy's having a Hall of Fame type year. Gary Sheffield, 2 outs in the first inning, didn't try to do too much. Took what the pitcher gave him, Millwood, got a base hit to right, and what did he do? He started a 2-run inning. And here he leads off the inning by taking a walk. He's not trying to hit 60 home runs. He's trying to help the team by getting on base, and that's what he's done here tonight.
And that's one of those situations where good players make their teammates better. Now he's got Millwood out of the stretch for Chipper Jones. And anyone who doesn't think it helps to get the pitcher out of the stretch, they really do not know baseball. It helps to make him throw from the stretch.
Sheffield, by the way, very capable of stealing a base.
10 stolen bases this year, so Sheff is running as well.
I saw this great compliment to you, Harry, and I thought it was great and it's fitting. It said, Harry Callis is associated with the city as much as Rocky cheesesteaks, and the Mummers Parade. Now, I know what Rocky was. I know what a cheesesteak is. Now, I don't know what the Mummers Parade is.
You don't know what the Mummers? You don't know what the
No, I don't know what that is.
I don't either. I have no idea.
They
You can
have
explain
several Mummers groups here, and on New Year's Day, they have the Mummers Parade with the Mummers strut down Broad Street, and it's a big, big day here.
All right. I know Rocky, and I know cheesesteaks.
I still don't know what a mummer is, though.
Well, they have several groups that are instrumental groups here in the city of Philadelphia, and they are the Mummers groups. The one I know best is the Quaker City group, and but there are several others, Fralinger and many others, and they perform every New Year's Day. They march down Broad Street and entertain, and it's always a spectacular event.
Well, I'm just going to say in the future, he's as much in the city as Rocky and cheesesteaks. Until I see the Mummers Parade.
Yeah. So you see
I don't know if they add up to you. I know Rocky does, and the cheesesteaks they do, because they're historic monuments here.
Mummers Day Parade is certainly a Philadelphia institution, so they're right up there.
Chipper Jones with a base hit, also scored a run in the first inning. Last night he hit Atlanta's only home run in the game, but that was number 107. The most in the major leagues here in 2003. They have become the bashing Braves instead of the pitching Braves, in 9th in earned run average coming into tonight.
And one of only 3 teams in the major leagues that has not had a complete game from their pitching staff.
Isn't that staggering?
That is amazing. I mean, figure the Braves winning all these division titles with their pitching. Hasn't been the case this year.
Cross for a call, strike on Chipper Jones, 2-2. Now 3 of the top 10 home run hitters in the National League are Braves. Javi Lopez, Andrew Jones, Gary Sheffield, all there. And Atlanta last year hit 164 home runs for the entire season. They're on a pace to hit about 150 by the All-Star break this year. Just a remarkable turnaround. Popped up. Racing for it, Bell near the stands. Looks like he has room, and he does. Well, coming up later on tonight on ESPN2, San Francisco takes on the Dodgers as they renew that great rivalry. Dan Shulman, David Justice have the call there. Paul LaDuca's hitting 24 in a row. How about Kevin Brown? He won again last night for LA. He is 10-1. And you, the fan, can now vote on who should win an ESPY. Barry Bonds goes after it tonight. Well, player and nominee for best category, Barry Bonds is in it. Polls are open, so log on to ESPN.com. The keyword is ESPY to cast your vote. You can do it right now. Andrew Jones, he walked in the first inning. And Millwood keeping a very close eye on Sheffield.
And Dave, the Dodgers have closed to within 1 game of the Giants. The Giants got off to a fantastic start. The Dodgers got off to a slow start, and they're almost even.
And now the Dodgers are looking like what the Braves have looked like the last 11 years. An ERA coming into the week of 2.92 for the Dodgers staff. I mean, Harry, this is not, the first week of May. This is mid-June. That's very impressive.
They have great pitching, and their offense, the Dodgers have not produced many runs at all, but they haven't had to because their pitching has been just outstanding.
Millwood has been working from the stretch a lot in the first 3 innings. That finds the strike zone, 1-1. Now you were talking about Skip Carey, the son of Harry Carey. Of course, Chip Carey, who does the Chicago Cubs as well. Your son is a broadcaster as well. Your son Todd.
Todd is with the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, and a classmate of yours, Dave, at Syracuse. You're Orange Men.
The national champions, I might add.
Yes.
NCAA basketball champs. So Todd and I will lord that over the college basketball world for at least another 5 or 6 months until they get it going again.
Why not? See, in Iowa, the only thing we always had to hang our hats on was that they were a great wrestling school.
Oh, yeah.
They were always right up there at the top in wrestling in the NCAAs.
Did you ever broadcast wrestling?
Oh, yeah.
You did?
At WSUI as a student, we did all of their stuff.
Swinging a drive, but foul, hooked down into the corner by Andrew Jones.
Football, basketball, baseball, swimming, track, wrestling, every event they had, we were out there with microphones making fools of ourselves, but it was great experience.
Yeah, I would say it was training for this, right?
Really.
And we did the same thing at Syracuse in the stands. In fact, Todd and I both. And so we learned some things there, but never did wrestling.
I'm going to have Sweet Pea come back here and perhaps do some broadcasting of Mother's Day Parade.
Polanco in underneath the pop-up by Andrew Jones. 2 gone. Chipper Jones did not like much in his last at bat, Joe Morgan.
Well, it was the second strike. This is the second strike called the strike. He thought it was high. You can see that Lieberthal pulled it down. But what that forces him to do is to swing at that pitch up. And Chipper was very upset because he felt like he had to swing at a bad pitch in that at bat. And on his way back, he was very upset. And I can understand his point. They didn't look that bad. But, I mean, if you think one's out of the strike zone and the next one's almost an identical spot, you have to swing at it.
Home plate umpire tonight is Field and Culbreth. Sheffield taking off, and the pitch is down and in. And Sheffield, without even drawing a throw, winds up at second base.
Well, that was a very tough pitch for Lieberthal to have to throw on. Ball diving down and in to a left-handed hitter. And his job was to stop it from going to the backstop, which he did.
And base runners do get a good jump on Millwood. That was a great jump by Sheffield. And Lieberthal really has had no chance. As I say, Kevin will go ahead and steal a base. He's going to concentrate on getting the next hitter out.
Broken bat looper, that's going to drop in, but this stolen base is going to cost him.
Yep.
Here comes Sheffield around and in, and it's 3-0. Robert Fick muscling an RBI single, and he's been the man tonight. All 3 runs the Braves have scored, he's driven in.
Now 11 for 18 against the Phils this year. So Phillies must not have a good book on how to pitch this left-hand hitting Fick.
Well, and it's amazing how you can have such great success against one team. This is a good pitch, except it's up. See, that's why when he jammed him, it broke his bat, but it was up, so the ball was able to carry over the head of first baseman Jim Thomas. That ball's down a little bit, he would have gotten a ground ball.
So Millwood, a lot of what's happened in this inning, he caused. He walked Gary Sheffield, then he allowed the stolen base, which did not even generate a throw, and now Fick, who has been a Philly killer, drops in the single. Here's Javi Lopez having his best power season in years.
Harry, you made a great point there about Millwood. You know, he concentrates on the hitter, even though they steal bases. That is really a trait of the Atlanta Braves. Greg Maddux is pretty much the same way. I mean, he concentrates on the hitter. He's pretty easy to steal off of. But they figure that, hey, I get the next guy out. And normally they do. They don't want to split their concentration and maybe give up a home run while they're, half of their concentration at first base, the other half on the batter, and they make a bad pitch. So I understand that philosophy a little bit, but sometimes you have to make sure you hold certain runners, guys that are capable of stealing the base.
Well, Millwood.
Like the Sweet Pea, Davey.
That's right. Down low for ball 4 on Lopez.
Fourth all time. You realize our colleague here, our partner here, is 4th all time in Major League history in steals.
Well, the first 2 guys, Babe Ruth and Ted Williams.
No. I'm talking stolen bases.
Oh, stolen bases.
I'm not talking hits.
Oh, no.
Stolen bases.
Oh, I mean.
Babe Bambino is not among the top base stealers.
I thought you were talking about walks, though.
No.
I got lost there, because I was going to say they walked. Babe Ruth, they walked him because they're scared of Ted Williams. They walked him because they were afraid of me. They walked because they couldn't throw a strike. And Ricky Henderson, he's out of the same. He's like me. They couldn't throw a strike. He had a low crouch.
Stolen bases I was talking about.
Well,
4th all time behind Lou Brock, Max Carey, and the legendary Hannes Wagner.
Well, that's the National League, so
Yeah,
that's a pretty good list, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good list to be on with any of those guys. You're right.
That's the National League. All-time stolen base guy.
Vinny Castilla 0 for 1 tonight. He's grounded out to third. More trouble here for Millwood. Little bloop shot that's going to drop down for a base hit. That's going to bring in a run. Fick in to score. It is 4-0. And so the potent Atlanta Braves, they're an offensive team this year. And it's worked out beautifully, especially tonight.
Well, one of the things that is helping the Braves is Millwood's leaving a lot of pitches up. I mean, he broke Fick's bat, but because the pitch was up, it became a base hit. This is a high pitch away, and watch, all Castillo does is just flip it out there. We've seen him get the ball down a lot better than he's doing it today. See, he just serves it out there because it's up. So Millwood's not quite on his game, and he's missing some of his spots. But the Braves are a potent offense, as we said at the beginning of the game.
Ortiz, first pitch swinging, flies that one to fairly deep center. He handles the bat well, but that's the third out. Atlanta strikes for a couple of more runs, and Millwood has surrendered 6 hits. It's 4-0.
4-0 Braves as we go to the bottom of the third. Now here's Sheffield stealing second. And watch, he takes off. He runs through the bag because there was no throw, and someone yelled foul ball, so he starts back to first base. And then the first base coach yells at him, say, stay there. And then he realizes that he has to stay there.
Now, you don't imagine that one of the Phillies infielders was guilty of that chicanery, do you?
Well, you know what happened? I was watching. What happened was Rollins, said stand up, meaning you don't have to slide because there's no throw. But he wasn't telling him it was a foul ball. He just said you don't have to slide, stand up.
Marlon Byrd leading off this inning, and then it's Millwood and Bobby Abreu. So 8-9-1 against Russ Ortiz.
I was reading on Harry like I needed to know more about him, but I came across a great tidbit.
Slicing fly, Sheffield with a lengthy run in, but makes the catch. We'll touch on that in just a second. Let's go to Dave Revson in the studio.
Thanks, Dave. Sammy is back in more ways than one. Sosa had gone 68 at-bats without a homer. This just his second since April 20th. No doubt about that one. 7th of the year. It is 3-0 Cubs over the Reds, guys.
Sammy is back indeed.
And you know what? That layoff may have done him some good. If he would have continued to play, he was struggling, and you get a chance to step away from it for a week and just clear your mind of everything. And that may help him because he was struggling before that.
34 years old, 506 career home runs, just 7 this season, but that was his first since the first day of May.
But you don't want to get suspended to clear your head like that, especially be embarrassed like that. But I read this about Harry Kalas, and I played for the Phillies one year. He and Richie Ashburn were inseparable. They worked together all those years. And I read where you pay tribute to him every day, even though he's gone, before you broadcast the game.
Yeah, outside of the radio booth, there is a Rich Ashburn plaque, and it says, it's quoted Whitey as saying, the game's easy, Harry, and it's called the Rich Ashburn broadcast booth. And I touch that every night before a game here at Veterans Stadium, and somebody asked me, what are you going to take from Veterans Stadium in the new ballpark? That is the one thing I want to take, is that Richie Ashburn broadcast booth plaque, and put it up outside our broadcast booth in the new ballpark.
Good.
He was so much fun.
He really was. I mean, he was. I spent a lot of time here with him, and after I became a broadcaster, I spent time with him. And I mean, he was a fun guy that just enjoyed himself.
Yes.
And didn't take himself too seriously. Everything was just kind of, let everything roll off. We had great times with him.
And of course, if the games would go late here at Veterans Stadium, there's a pizza place out here called Celebrez's Pizza. And we'd be going on 11:30 midnight. You'd say, well, I wonder if the people at Celebrez's are listening tonight. 15 minutes later, we'd have pizzas delivered to the booth. Now, management says to him, Whitey, Celebrez's is not a sponsor. They're not a sponsor of our broadcast. You can't be using their name on the air. So they do allow us to do birthday and anniversary wishes. So one night it's again an extra inning game late. Whitey says, well, special birthday wishes tonight to the Celebrez's twins, plain and pepperoni. and here come the pizza.
Of course. Well, 27 years with a partner who's not only a broadcast partner, but a great friend as well. And everybody knew him as Whitey. It strikes me that you don't call anybody by their first name.
Yeah, it is interesting.
It's either a nickname of some kind.
Well, now come to think of it, that's true. My broadcast partners now are L.A. and Wheels.
Yeah, Wheels, Chris Wheeler. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. But Chris Wheeler should be called Wheels, though.
Sure. Bobby Abreu singled his first at bat, also stole a base, but he was stranded out there. Kevin Millwood just took a walk.
Yeah, that was kind of what Joe was saying earlier in the game, that Ortiz, when he has problems, it is because of his control. You walk a pitcher who's just 1 for 29 this year, and it can lead you to some trouble.
Yeah.
Well, he had one start already this season where he walked 8 Montreal Expos. And there you guys.
There's L.A. and Wheels.
There's Larry Anderson, one of my teammates when I played here at the Phillies.
A strike, and Abreu nodding his head, but I don't think he's agreeing with home plate umpire Phil Colbreth.
See, you said you could read his lips. He said that's high.
Yeah, that's the same pitch that basically that he called on Chipper Jones.
He's still going at it. Here comes Larry Boa. He might be coming out to save a guy from getting ejected.
And by the same token, he might find that he gets himself ejected. Bobby Cox got run here last night.
I don't think Larry knows how to do anything the easy way, though. I mean, he comes right out and gets in his face. But of course, he cannot argue balls and strikes. That's automatic ejection.
Well, it's not an automatic. You can argue balls and strikes to protect your hitter. You know, if the hitter is arguing, then you go out there and you try to get your hitter between the hitter and the umpire, and then you talk to the umpire.
I think that's what he's doing. He was just trying to keep Abreu in the ball game.
Yeah.
And he might not mention the strike zone.
But I think what happened was Larry thought that Colbreth was yelling back at Abreu.
Right. Fly ball along the left field line, but out of the reach of Chipper Jones, so the count is 0-2.
Well, here's a pitch to Chipper Jones. He called a strike. Let's see. You know, questionable, but it's supposed to be the high strike. Here's the one to Abreu.
Those pitches are just a little bit above the belt.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't look bad to me.
It's a rule book strike.
I know you look at it as a hitter sweep, Pete, but for me, you know, they talk about the speed of the games. Call strikes, make them swing the bats.
I agree. I think those pitches were at the top of the strike zone.
Yeah.
And then remember, they're supposed to call the top of the strike zone now.
Well, it's at the letters,
yeah. I must admit, though, that it had gotten to a point where anything above the belt was a ball. I mean, that it was, you know, the way it was. But, you know, they've made a conscious effort to change that.
Millwood at first base, 1 out, and the 1-2 from Ortiz. Got his bat, and he fouled it away. I always thought that the move to emphasize the strike zone as it is written in the rule book was for the next generation of hitters, for the younger guys, not for the guys like Jim Thome or even a Bobby Abreu or Chipper Jones necessarily, but for the next generation of guys, and they'll be more apt to be swinging at that letter high or just under the armpit strike.
Well, I think I agree with you that it will have an effect later on, but I mean, they want it to have an immediate effect, and I think it has had an effect.
I agree. 1-2 off the corner.
You know, there are a lot of times when pitchers complain that they will call that pitch strike 1, strike 2, but they will not call it strike 3. Yeah. That's the pitcher's, you know, perception of that situation.
For 4-0 Atlanta here. Ortiz fires. Good cut by Abreu.
High fastball.
Yeah, that was up again, and Bobby, as Chipper did, feels like he's got to swing at it.
Yeah. You definitely, you know, have to protect the plate. I mean, I think that's the theory of hitting. I mean, if you get 2 strikes, you have to protect the plate.
Philadelphia held to 1 hit so far, and that's ball 3. And coming up in the 4th inning, if you've never had a chance to listen in to Harry Callis do play-by-play, well, it's a terrific treat for us in the profession to hear him. He's a Hall of Fame announcer. We're going to give you that privilege as well, coming up in innings 4 through 7 here this evening from the vet, and looking forward to that.
All right, maybe I can get the fighting Phils back in this game.
No cheering now, Harry.
Okay.
Up by for ball 4, back-to-back walks. Well, they might be on their way in this inning.
And out comes Leo Mazzoni. I remember I had a long discussion with Leo when I became a broadcaster. I went out and I sat with him, and ask him about pitching and philosophy and so forth. I have to tell you, I learned so much about pitching just from listening to him one day. And he has a great philosophy. You know, he says you use the fastball, you work off the fastball. You use the fastball, you work off of it. And a lot of guys, he said, that's why our guys have been able to throw strikes. That's why they're able to hit zones. And, I mean, one thing he says, he has to be mother hen sometimes, and sometimes has to be father hen, you know. But he says he loves it, and the players all love to work with him.
He's faced 10. He's gone to 3 balls on 8 of them. I think that's where the rocking came from, the rockin' Leo. You see those mother hens rocking in the hen house.
There he goes.
He's at it. A couple of men on here, and he's going to try and get Polanco, but he walked him in the first inning. Ortiz looking for a double play, and some magic words from his pitching coach. That's low ball 1.
I learned a lot of baseball from so many players over the years. And the beauty of the game of baseball is you never quit learning.
Right.
And to this day, I continue to learn about baseball. One of the guys early on in my career that really taught me a lot was Sweet Pete, Jim Owens.
Yeah.
The Bear.
Oh, yeah.
The Bear was really a student of the game. And he was,
A comebacker for Call. Nice job going down to get it fired over to first base for the double play. And the side is retired. When we come back, Harry Kalas at the play-by-play microphone. Don't miss that. We come back to Philadelphia.
Well, it's gone down to the wire. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Swing a line drive. He did it. Vukovic made the throw. Wise has done it. A no-hit, no-run game. Mitchell can't pick it up. Lane scores. Here comes Dernier. The throw to the plate. Save. I can't believe it. The Phillies have won. Swing and a miss. Struck him out. Phillies are the 93 National League champions. High hopes. He had high hopes. He had high apple pie in the sky. The 3-0 pitch. Swing a long drive. There it is. Number 500. The career 500th home run for Michael Jack Smith.
Well, that's just a little bit of what has been one of the great broadcast careers of our time. Hall of Famer Harry Kalas for 33 years now at the microphone, calling those wonderful moments for the Philadelphia Phillies. And now for you, our national audience here on ESPN, Harry Kalas. Take it away, Harry.
All right. Thank you, Dave. We move to the 4th inning. Braves lead 4-0. And leading off for Atlanta will be the top of the order, Rafael Furcal. He has struck out and singled. Furcal leads the National League in runs scored, and he is 3rd in the league in hits, so he has been a great leadoff man for Bobby Cox. Kevin Millwood trailing his former team 4-0 here in the 4th. And the pitch to Furcal is there for a strike, Nottingham 1 strike to Rafael Furcal. Furcal leads the National League in triples with 8 of them. All have been hit left-handed. Rips this ball into the right field corner, but it is a foul ball. I think in 2 the count. Kind of surprised Joe Morgan that he has this many home runs, 10 home runs.
Well, we must be thinking alike. I was about to mention the same thing. Yeah, he has 10 home runs, and Giles has 8. I mean, they have 18 home runs in their first 2 hitters. So, and they're both pretty small guys, but Furcal, I mean, he drives the ball, and Giles has hit a lot of home runs in the minor leagues as well.
Mention the name Giles, and of course the fellow that brought me here to Philadelphia, Bill Giles, is the chairman of the Philadelphia Phillies. Brought me here in '71 and brought you back here in '83 in that World Series club of '83, National League Championship club.
And he just stuck his head in the door and said hello to us. And he also started in Houston with us. He was there in Houston.
Yep.
He came to Philadelphia before you, and you followed him here. Good friend of ours for a lot of years.
A little bit inside, 2-2 the count to Rafael Furcal.
I still tease him because, you know, Bobby Abreu, when they were having the expansion draft, he asked me a question. He said, would you trade Kevin Stocker for Bobby Abreu? No one knew who Abreu was, and I said, I would have done that yesterday. And I keep teasing him. I say, you owe me. Because Bobby Abreu has come here and become a great player.
This Bill was in the PR office of the Houston Astros before coming here to Philadelphia. And at that time, his dad, the late great Warren Giles, was the president of the National League. And remember when Bill put on the speaker when there was a questionable call by an umpire? Kibler did it again.
Yeah, I remember that.
John Kibler was struck him out, strikeout. Number 4 for Kevin Millwood. Giles put that up on the scoreboard.
Got everybody
he did hear from his dad. he did hear from Warren Giles, the president, actually.
I'd forgotten about that. That was the start of it. And then they said you couldn't show things on the scoreboard anymore.
Here's Marcus Giles. He is grounded out and fouled out. Lost a foul on the right field side.
I know it's a little late, so to speak, for Kevin, but he looks like he's relaxed finally out there. In his release, it just doesn't seem like he's straining as much to throw the fastball like he was early. And again, it's the adrenaline and facing his old team.
One strike to Marcus Giles. Fouls this one out of play. 0-2.
Well, earlier in the ball game, it just seemed to me that, you know, he was just straining a little bit, trying to get a little bit extra. Now he just seems to relax and releases it. And even his follow-through seems more relaxed than it was at the beginning of the ball game. And it just may have taken him a while.
Up the middle, Jimmy Rollins will take care of that. Marcus Giles retired 2 down. It'll bring up Gary Sheffield, and Sheffield has started both 2-run innings. First inning with a 2-out single to right. Second inning with a leadoff walk. He has scored 2 runs.
A great battle going on here. It's shaping up that way anyway. It's a little early, I guess, to be focusing so much on the MVP, but Sheffield and Albert Pujols, I mean, both of them in the top 10s and everybody's list and all of the statistics. Sheffield's team is in first place.
Good play, David Bell, as he hammers it to third, and Bell retires Sheffield. No runs, hits, errors, none left. 4-0 Braves. Back at Veterans Stadium, we go to the bottom half of the 4th inning. Jim Thome leads off for the Phils, grounded into a double play his first time up. And they have the Thome shift out in the infield. Only Vinny Castilla on the left side of the infield, and he's fairly close to the bag at second base. As you can see, Thome sees this against all teams. Very much like what the Joe Morgan shift used to be. On top of the dugout. 1 strike to Jim Thome.
You know, when you're speaking of this shift, I remember my first year, Nellie Fox, who was one of my idols, he and Jackie Robinson, of course, and he was a player coach for the Astros when we started together. And he told me about how they used to put the shift on like this for Ted Williams. He said he'd get way out in right field. He said, Joe, he hit that ball so hard it was diving at him. He just hit it and it just come down right behind him. He said, ball go right over his head and he'd think it's going to hit him in the back. It came down so sharply. He said Ted just didn't care where you played. He was going to hit it through you.
Yeah, you won't see hitters like Ted Williams, or in this case, Jim Thome, beat the ship by, you know, you say, well, he could just slap the ball on the left side and get himself a hit, but you're not going to see that because every time up there, he's a potential home run. He did do it. He did do it in a game in our last homestand intentionally because the Phillies needed base runners and he was leading off an inning, and he did just kind of half swing the ball to where a third baseman normally plays. You get a base hit to start an inning. He ended up scoring a couple of runs in that inning.
And I've seen Barry Bonds do that this year, hit a ball, you know, to the left side, which he normally doesn't do. Mike Schmidt used to say to me when we played together, he said, Joe, if I wanted to just take the ball, slap the right field, you know, I could hit for a higher average. He said, but that's not what I'm supposed to do.
Jim Thome's supposed to hit it over everybody anyway.
Right. Not this time as Ortiz strikes him out. Second strikeout for Russ Ortiz. One down here in the fourth.
This is a good sinking fastball. Look at that. Just goes straight down. And Tommy's right over the top of it.
Joe, you're from the Bay Area. Why did the Giants let Russ Ortiz go?
Well, I think a lot of it had to do with he was going to be arbitration and money and so forth. I think that had a lot to do with it. And they traded him in effect for Damian Moss, who was a young player, and they're going to get 3 or 4 years out of him before he becomes arbitration eligible. And it's basically the same reason you have Millwood here in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I mean, the Braves did not want to trade Millwood, but, you know, they were instructed they had to get their salaries down, so Millwood was the guy that was expendable.
In the right field, shallow, but Sheffield comes on, can't get it. He's able to trap the ball and hold Burrell to a single. And a guy like Burrell, you play deep, and Sheffield had a long run.
People don't know how great a play that was right there. I mean, how often have we seen the ball bounce away from an outfielder trying to make a shoestring catch? But he times his glove work perfectly. He gives it a good shot. He comes all the way. He's trying to make the catch because he knows if he stops, it's going to bounce over him. And look at that. He just makes a swipe. I mean, look at this. I mean, this is, well, he's got a cesta out there anyway. That glove is so long. Look at it. But a nice play there by Gary Sheffield. Perfect timing.
Mike Lieberthal flied out to deep right his first time up. Back through the middle, base hit center field. Well, the Phillies had only one hit off Ortiz coming into this inning. Burrell and Lieberthal back-to-back singles, and it'll bring on Jimmy Rollins. Rollins popped up his first time up. Final leading 4-0. We are in the bottom half of the fourth inning. Ball and no strikes to Jimmy Rollins.
Now, Rollins is from the Bay Area, you know, where I grew up.
Right.
And I met him and his parents at the All-Star game last year, and they were just so proud of the fact that, you know, he made the All-Star team right away.
Jimmy, a fine defensive shortstop, good speed, and has been hitting well, although lifetime against Ortiz, he was just 1 for 12 lifetime against this right-hander.
Joe, is he from the East Bay?
Yeah, the East Bay.
That's the better side.
That's the better. Oh, that's the only side.
In the air to left field, Chipper backtrack, should have no trouble with it. Jones puts it away for out number 2.
That's the side of the Frank Robinsons, the Vada Pensons, the Willie Stargels,
all the blue bloods.
Yeah, the blue bloods. Yeah. Bill Russell, even in basketball. So, yeah.
I have no idea. That's the high rent district too.
Yeah.
Here's David Bell. He lined out to center his first time up.
I mean, has David just been in the slump all year? Has he hit the ball hard and they catch it, or?
Pretty much he has really struggled here this season. He has done a good job in getting runners home from third with less than 2 outs. He's among the league leaders in sacrifice flies, but yeah, for the most part he has struggled. And just go back out there and stay after it.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's strange. A lot of people may not realize, you know, you change teams and you get to a new team. You want to prove to the new guys that you're good as the hype, and a lot of times you just struggle. You put a little too much pressure on yourself, even in the case of Jim Thome maybe.
High with it, 2 balls and no strikes. Got the game-winning hit last night in the bottom half of the 9th inning with Punto, the pinch runner, at third base. That's coming off Darren Holmes. Gave the Phillies a 5-4 win in the 9th inning.
Well, that's basically what you were talking about. Runner at third, less than 2.
And the thing about the Atlanta Braves is these are the innings you want to get the runs back. You don't want to be trailing the Braves in the 9th inning with Mr. Smoltz ready to come in.
We had a question recently about who is the best closer in the game now on our .com thing. And we couldn't tell whether it was, I couldn't tell. John Smoltz won, But I mean, if you see Gagne, I mean, they're just unbelievable. I mean, both of them just dominate the hitters.
That was Hector Mercado up in the Phillies bullpen. If they get to Millwood, they would pinch hit for him. 3 balls and a strike to David Bell.
Gagne with 27 saves right now. Smoltz with 26. But if you had to choose between the two,
that would be difficult. I still think I would take John Smoltz as a starter. I think he's still that good.
And then leave Gagne the closer. Yeah.
Smoltz won a Cy Young Award as a starter. Popped him up. Should be out of the inning. Marcus Giles waits and puts it away. No runs, 2 hits, no errors, 2 left. We go to the 5th, 4-0 Braves. 5th inning at Veterans Stadium. Atlanta Braves lead the Phillies by a score of 4-0 as Chipper Jones leads off for the Braves. He has singled and scored a run and fouled out to third base. Kevin Millwood has given up 4 runs on 6 hits. Has 4 strikeouts through 4 innings. He's walked 2. This is his first game against his ex-team, the Atlanta Braves.
Baby, come on, Chip.
1-0 to Chipper Jones.
It's interesting, Harry, you said that he would have liked to have had a start against them a lot sooner to get it out of the way. And since this is his first start, I definitely believe he had a little adrenaline flow in the first inning, and it was causing him problems.
Tony just tipped the ball off the tip of his glove, changed direction, a base hit.
All right, maybe some great stuff happening in baseball tonight. Let's go to Dave Revson. Dave.
Thank you, Dave. Yanks and D-Rays. Roger Clemens has never thrown a no-hitter, but he has won through 7 against Jason Tyner, then Javier Valentin, and Ben Grieve. This was the last out in the 7th inning. Problem is the Yankees only have 1 hit themselves, and they have not scored. It is 0-0 heading to the top of the 8th, guys.
Very interesting. The Rocket, after winning his 300th game, striking out over 4,000 in his last start, working on a no-hitter now.
Well, the interesting thing, he probably relaxed after the 300, you know, build up of the 300. He's been relaxed and back to the Roger of old.
You know, getting that 300th win was against a good team. St. Louis, a good hitting ball club. Joining Nolan Ryan, Steve Carlton as the only pitchers in the history of the game with 4,000 or more strikeouts. Earlier, Dave, you were asking me about Steve Carlton talking to the media, and we didn't get a chance really to embellish, but Lefty would, I mean, he would talk baseball and talk his pitching theories until the cows come home with me, just as long as I didn't have a microphone out there, you know. But one-on-one, I mean, he would talk ball.
But I think it was interesting because I think a lot of times we forget that, you know, Dave Kingman, there have been several guys that didn't talk to the media. And somewhere along the way, they felt they had a reason. You know, the media portrayed them the wrong way or misquoted them or something. And I think that was, you know, the case with Steve, because Steve was such a good guy and a great teammate. Yeah. So I think there had to be something that happened along the way.
And his longtime battery mate, Joe, certainly picked up the slack.
Yeah, Timmy
McCarver.
He picked up the slack.
Andrew Jones beats it foul. Now Carlos Silva's going to get up in the Phillies bullpen.
Did you, as a member of the media and a friend of Steve Carlton's, ever try and talk him out of that stance?
No.
Is no talking stance?
No, he made it pretty clear that he made it pretty clear that's the way he wanted, and that was the, you know, okay, fine. I think in 2 to count to Andrew Jones. And Millwood wants to talk it over with Mike Lieberthal.
How about Lefty? Did he throw a no-hitter?
I was trying to think the same thing. I don't believe so.
I don't think he threw a no-hitter. No. I know he flirted with him
threw some
several times, but
I don't think he did. Also, Tom Seaver threw one, you know, after he got to Cincinnati. He didn't even throw it for the Mets. He threw one in Cincinnati after he arrived there.
Yeah, it was a year and a day after the trade.
Yeah. I didn't know those particulars, but I knew it was after the trade.
Yeah, a lot of great pitchers have never thrown. Maddox has never thrown one.
Right.
Talking about Clemens, has never thrown one. Maybe tonight.
Well, it's interesting. He's through 7 innings with a no-hit game against Tampa Bay. Meanwhile, the Yankees only have 1 hit. You wonder who's pitching for the Tampa Bay.
While we're on the topic of no-hitters.
Should be it. Should be it. Ricky Leday is there. He puts it away, and Kevin Millwood has pitched a no-hit, no-run game at Veterans Stadium. Look at the dugout come swarming out to hug Millwood, wife Rena, everybody on their feet here at Veterans Stadium, 30,000 plus. What a day. Well, that really was a special day, and you know, Dave, and Joe, you of course are the West Coast guy, but Dave knows that the weather we've had this spring has not been good. On Millwood's day, on Millwood's no-hit day, was probably the nicest day we had all spring. We had over 30,000 here, so that was very special.
That was also against a good hitting team. The Giants were hitting really well at that time.
Right. Well, maybe Millwood could get Fick out. Fick has been the thorn in Millwood's side tonight with a double and a single. He has knocked in 3 of the brave 4 runs.
I know you've called multiple no-hitters. Rick Wise did it in 1971.
And Wise not only pitched a no-hit game, but he had 2 home runs in that game.
Oh, man. That's how you make sure.
Really. Tommy Green pitched a no-hitter in Montreal for the Phillies. Terry Mulholland pitched one right here for the Phillies here at Veterans Stadium. And when Joe and I were together with Houston, we saw back-to-back no-hitters. Right. Jim Maloney of Cincinnati no-hit those Houston Astros. The next night, Don Wilson is pitching for Houston. He no-hit Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And Don was he was scowling that whole game.
Yeah,
Don Wilson was out there, and Maloney had no hitters the night before. Wilson was out there, and with every out he got, he just kind of glares in at the Cincinnati hitter in the dugout. After he pitched a no-hitter, was like, cause celebrate. Let's celebrate. Nice going, Don. He was still scowling in that dugout.
I came running in from second base to congratulate him. He was starting toward the Reds dugout. He wanted to fight the whole dugout. He was mad at Dave Bristol.
Popped up Fick, so they finally get Fick out here on a pop-up to Polanco.
All right, we heard from one imposter earlier. How about another imposter, Ben Davis?
Here's the 2-2 to Grissom. Fly ball center field. Millwood did it. Millwood did it.
Ben Davis, the catcher for Seattle. He's a Pennsylvania guy. He's from Chester, Pennsylvania.
Yes, he's from Westchester, PA. Went to Malvern Prep here and got a chance to see him with interleague play. I got a chance to see him, of course, and was talking to Brett Boone, who Bob Boone was a member of the 1980 World Championship team and a longtime Philly. So I used to watch Brett Boone out here at Veterans Stadium taking fly balls and ground balls and making great catches in the outfield. And so we had a chance to get together when those Mariners were in, and he said, Ben Davis does you all the time.
Come on, Jeff. Keep coming. Keep coming.
Well, this is a base hit by Javi Lopez and a good backup by Marlon Byrd after the ball got by Pat Burrell. Chipper Jones ends up at third base, and the Braves have runners at first and third with 2 outs for Vinny Castilla. Castilla has grounded out, and he is singled to drive in one of the Atlanta runs. Atlanta leads 4-0. It's their 8th hit off Kevin Millwood.
Well, you made a good point there. Very nice backup there by Bird that saved a run and kept the other runner from getting into scoring position.
To a fastball by Castillo, 1 strike.
And that's a dangerous thing to try. Vinny Castillo, another good fastball hitter, especially on the first pitch. He sits fastball first pitch, dead red, but a good spot up and in. He doesn't let many fastballs go on the first pitch.
Atlanta runners at the corners at first and third with 2 outs, and that's a humpback line drive caught by Bell. No runs, 2 hits, no errors, 2 left. We go to the bottom of the 5th, 4-0 Atlanta. Bottom half of the 5th inning at Veterans Stadium, Atlanta leading 4-0. It appears that Kevin Millwood is finished for the night as Marlon Byrd leads off. Ricky Leday has moved into the on-deck circle to bat for Millwood. Marlon Byrd fly to right his first time up. 1 ball and no strikes to Marlon Byrd. So Millwood finished after 5 innings in his first game against his former team. Byrd fouls it off. See Millwood. I think you see in the Phillies dugout, and pitching coach Joe Kerrigan's going to come over and pat him on the shoulder. He's going to head up the runway. So Millwood finished after 5 innings. He would have liked to have done better, but he'll leave trailing 4-0 at this point. 2 balls and a strike. Might have been, the adrenaline might have been flowing a little too much. He'd been trying too hard against his former team. You never know.
Well, especially the first couple innings, I thought he was overthrowing a little bit.
Ground ball sharply hit, but backhanded by Giles, and he throws out Byrd. 1 down. It'll bring up Ricky Leday. Well, now with nobody on, it looks like Nick Punto is going to pinch hit for Millwood instead of Leday as Carlos Silva stays up in the Phillies bullpen. Silva will be the new pitcher. Punto is a switch hitter. 3 for 19. Hitting at 158. He's 2 for 11 as a pinch hitter. Trying to get some base runners here, trailing 4-0. Punto was a pinch runner in last night's game. Kind of froze on the ball that Jimmy Rollins hit. Trickled out to the mound, and Darren Holmes threw it. And it hit Rollins, went down the right field line. Punto was still standing at second base with Rollins coming into second base. But Punto ended up going to third, and Bell got a base hit to win the game.
Not a big guy, 5'9", 175.
No. We have word that Roger Clemens has lost his no-hit bid. No-hitter going and lost the no-hit bid. And fittingly, Joe Morton, it would be a second baseman that broke it up. Marlon Anderson, who used to be here with the Phillies. At the first hit off Rocket. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Punto.
Kerry Wood had a perfect game going tonight, and that's disappeared as well.
Cincinnati has scored a run in that game. Cubs still lead 4-1. Punto's rung up, called out on strikes, and that'll be the 3rd strikeout for Russ Ortiz. 2 down here in the 5th, and it'll bring up Bobby Abreu. Abreu is single and 1. Bobby hitting at 279. That is, as we mentioned at the open, a lot of the Phillies hitters are hitting below their major league norm. Abreu is a lifetime 307 hitter. One strike.
He needs to see more of Russ Ortiz. He eats this guy alive. He's 11 for 23 off him.
Hot shot. What a play by Vinny Castillo as he short hops it and throws out Abreu. No runs, hits, errors, none left after 5. 4-0 Atlanta. 6th inning here at Veterans Stadium. Carlos Silva is the new pitcher for the Phils as Russ Ortiz, the pitcher, leads it off, fouls one off. Silva is 3-1 on the season. 4.74 ERA. He has a save.
I think it hit him.
It hit him in the hand.
Yeah.
Bobby Cox and the trainer for the Atlanta Braves are coming out. It hit part bat and part hand, it looked like.
The trouble is, it's his right hand.
Really?
Which, of course, is his pitching hand. Well, maybe not. I mean, it looks like they're looking at his right hand, though. Yeah, it's his right hand.
So Ortiz hit by a pitch ball, and the worry for the Braves is that his right hand is all right. Ortiz evidently is satisfied. Bobby Cox and the trainer that he's okay. Well, Silva's last start, this is what happened at Great American Ballpark. Threw one up and inside down and into Dunn, then threw behind him, and a great tackle by Mike Lieberthal kept Dunn off Carlos Silva, but that created a melee. And
well, I have to tell you, that was a great tackle, open field tackle by Lieberthal, and it's a great idea, truthfully.
Yeah, I asked Levy the next day if Andy Reid had called him. Great open field tackle, keeping that Adam Dunn, who is a big man.
Big, that's what I mean. I don't think you want to run in front of him.
Chop to Silva. Silva throws the second one. They're not going to turn the double play with Furcal. And in this case, I don't know. You don't do it that way, but you'd almost rather have Ortiz, the pitcher, at second than Furcal at first.
No, I mean, that's a very good point. I mean, not for two reasons. One, you want the pitcher to run, expend as much energy as possible.
Right.
And second, Furcal's probably going to be at second shortly anyway. So the runner's going to be in score position. But that's a good point, especially when you're losing. In a tie ball game, you have to take the out. But when you're already losing, sometimes it might be in your best interest to let the pitcher run the bases.
Furcal at first with one out for Marcus Giles, who was 0 for 3. And Silva's going to try to keep Furcal close. Furcal has stolen a base. He has 12 steals for the season. He's only been thrown out once. Atlanta's a team been thrown out the fewest times of any team in the National League. They have stolen 2 bases tonight, 34 for the season. They've only been thrown out 9 times. Carlos Silva working here in the 6th inning in relief of Kevin Millwood. Goes over there again. And so now the Atlanta Braves trainer working on the right hand of Russ Ortiz after he was hit by a pitch. Make sure he's okay and can go back out there. Ortiz has checked the Phillies out through the first 5 innings on just 3 hits. One ball and no strikes to Marcus Giles. Ball called on Silva, and that's going to move the runner to second base. Well, here's Carlos Silva. Starts his motion, then doesn't stop. Balks the runner to second base. So Furcal is in scoring position with 1 out. 1 ball and no strikes to Giles. Ground ball shortstop. Jimmy Rollins throws Giles out, moving up to third base is Furcal. And with 2 outs, it'll bring up Gary Sheffield. Probably would have been a double play ground ball had the balk not been called on Carlos Silva. Although Giles does run pretty well. Here's Sheffield, who has singled, walked, and grounded out. He has scored 2 of the Braves' 4 runs. Oh, Buggy whips that bat through the strike zone, out of here. Home run, Gary Sheffield. No doubt about it, and the Braves take a 6-0 lead here in the 6th inning. Number 19 for Sheffield, and he now has knocked in 59 runs for the season.
I've never seen Gary Sheffield this locked in all the years that he's been swinging the bat. In real time, you see how quick he is plucking that one off the outside corner. I mean, he is as hot and has been as hot for an extended period of time as I've ever seen.
Really. Having just a tremendous year as Sheffield, and 1 ball and no strikes now to Chipper Jones. Breaking ball on the outside corner for a called strike. 1-1 to Chipper. Chipper's 2 for 3 with a pair of singles. Atlanta leading by a score of 6-0 here in the 6th inning. Tried to check. The appeal goes to third base umpire Marty Foster, who said he committed. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Jones.
Yeah, because they're getting such great production, Harry, at the top of the order. Sheffield's doing what he's doing. Andrew Jones and Javi Lopez having big years. Chipper Jones is having a subpar season by his standards, and it goes pretty much unnoticed. Not having a big home run year, and he's had over the last couple of seasons, he's had long home run slumps.
Still hitting right around 300. And he does have a good on base percentage. He is 9th in the league in on base percentage. But the 2 around him in the lineup, Sheffield and Andrew Jones, are hitting the home runs. Chipper got his 11th here last night. Well, the Braves coming in with a 6.5 game lead over Montreal and 9 over the Phils. Montreal lost first game of their doubleheader at Pittsburgh. They're winning the second game. And the Braves with the 2nd best record in all of baseball. Only Seattle has a better record coming into play tonight. They have done it with good offense, and Chipper is rung up. That'll retire the side. 2 runs, 1 hit, nobody left. We go to the bottom of the 6th. It is 6-0 Atlanta.
And sad they're counting down the last days of the vet, but Joe Sweet Pea Morgan, the Hall of Famer, was called on to put up a new number as the countdown continues. Got a rousing ovation from the fans here in Philadelphia.
He certainly did. The Hall of Fame second baseman. 45 days left in Veterans Stadium. Of course, they'll be moving to brand new Citizens Bank Park tomorrow as Philly fanatic escorts Joe Morgan. As he changes the number every night, we have someone special change the number. And great to have Joe Morgan to do it tonight. Joe, a member of the '83 National League Championship Club. I have to ask him when he gets back up. He homered in both Game 1 and Game 3 of the World Series against Baltimore that year.
He said, by the way, Harry, he's not coming back. He and the Fanatic are going out for pizza.
Well, that could be. Here's Placido Polanco. He has walked and grounded into a double play. Taps it softly to third. Vinny Castilla throws out Polanco, 1 down. Yesterday, across the street, we unveiled the Citizens Bank Park ceremonies. Mayor John Street was there. Steve Steinhauer, the CEO of Citizens Bank, developing a long-time partnership. 25-year naming rights for the new ballpark. Good job, Sweet Pea.
Man.
Good job.
The Fanatic, little scary driver now.
Here you were changing that countdown of Veterans Stadium. You're back up here already.
I was wondering if he was going to make it back. Fanatic going nuts out there.
How did you get back up here so soon?
The Fanatic, he drives like one.
That's why they call him Fanatic.
Well,
Jim Thome.
The only trouble, I guess, I missed Sheffield's home run.
Yeah, he tomahawked him into the seats in left center. He's gone right off the bat. Can flat out buggy whip that bat, can he? Wow. Thome has grounded into a double play and struck out, and he smokes this one in the gap in right center. This will be extra bases. Thome will end up at second base. Just the 4th hit surrendered by Russ Ortiz. And the first extra base hit, and it'll bring up Pat Burrell. Here's what it looked like. Joe, Sheffield's home run.
Man. I mean, you're right. Bat just flies through the hitting zone.
Burrell has struck out and singled. Braves lead 6-0. Phillies trying to get back in this game. Popped him up. Marcus Giles puts it away. Philly fans kind of getting on Pat Burrell. And, you know, I know he's trying. Heavens knows nobody's working any harder than Pat Burrell to get out of this thing. But I mean, the Phillies fans also talk about a great player. They also he booed Michael Jack Schmidt.
I know a lot.
You know, Michael Jack was booed. Michael Jack never showed any emotion. What was one of the things, and the fans took that for nonchalance and not caring, and that couldn't have been further from the truth. Mike really cared, but he never showed any emotion.
I have to tell you my favorite Mike Schmidt story, and I understand why he was upset sometimes.
Mike Lieberthal takes it high.
We're playing a game here. I was his teammate in '83. We're playing, and we're losing by a run in the 9th inning. He had struck out like 3 times in the game. They're booing him to death. He hits a home run to tie the game. They give him a standing ovation. So he comes up again. The next time he comes up, he hits a home run. We win the game. Standing ovation. The next day, first time up, he strikes out and they booed him again. I said I could not believe that.
How quickly they forget.
I mean, I couldn't. I mean, you hit 2 home runs in a standing ovation twice, and you strike out and they're booing you again. And
had to be different fans, Joe.
Yeah, it was. Maybe that's what it was. It wasn't the same guys that were here the night before.
Right. Ortiz has fallen behind Lieberthal 3-0. The Phillies do need base runners here, trailing 6-0. Lieberthal has flied to deep right and singled.
They do have that reputation of being unusually rough here in Philadelphia, do they not? Have you experienced that? I mean, yourself a little bit different than other cities? I mean, they're a little tougher even on their own players than other cities?
They can be tough, but they also can be certainly a force when you're going well, and they can really help you when you're going well. They can be very, very supportive. 3-1 the count here to Mike Lieberthal. Smashed to left field, and Chipper puts it away. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 left. Sweet Pea and the Fanatic. We go to the 7th inning, 6-0 Atlanta.
Top of the 7th inning here at the Vet in Philadelphia. 6-zip Atlanta. They have pounded out 9 hits. Gary Sheffield going yard just moments ago. And Andrew Jones leading things off here. He has walked, popped up, and struck out tonight. Joe Morgan, Dave O'Brien, and Harry Kalas, the Hall of Fame voice of this Philadelphia Philly team for moving into his 4th decade. That's across the knees for a strike. Kevin Millwood started tonight, the former Atlanta Brave. He went 5 innings and surrendered 4 runs, 8 hits. He is out of there. Out of there. And
a little deeper.
A little deeper. If I went any deeper, I'd hurt myself.
I think the Phillies are going to, have to be a little concerned with Millwood because, he has struggled his last 3 times out. And last year he struggled the second half, with the Braves. So you have to wonder if maybe they may have to give him a little rest or something.
Maybe skip a start?
Skip a start, yeah.
Andrew Jones strikes out for the 2nd time. Look now at the Wagner pitching summary for tonight's game. And the starters, Ortiz, 97 pitches so far, 55 for strikes. But there's a look at Millwood's line. 106 pitches. And he gets knocked around pretty good. In his last start, Joe, just 3 1/3 innings, he gave up 8 runs.
Right. So, I mean, you have to, you know, it's not time to panic, but you have to start paying attention.
Well, Robert Fick always pays attention when he faces the Philadelphia Phillies because he couldn't wait to get to the ballpark tonight, knowing how well he hits against the Philly club. And tonight, he's 2 for 3 with 3 RBIs. Not bad for a left-handed hitter who in a Gatorade commercial when he was about 9 years old played a right-hand hitter. He faked it. And apparently his acting was good enough to do the sales job because they ran the spot nationally. And a career was born for Robert Fick.
Sweet Pea, did you ever try to switch hit?
Yeah, before I turned professional, I did.
Did you?
Yeah, I could hit right-handed because I could. But I always felt, my father felt that I was always better off left-handed because you're a step closer to first base and all those things. And I could adjust to hitting left-handed pitchers. So I'm never sorry that I didn't switch hit. I'm glad that I just stayed one way.
That's funny that your father said go ahead and bat only left-handed because Tomas Perez was one of the great bench players of the game. He's a character on the Phillies ball club. Tomas Perez is a switch hitter, and he said his father insisted that he switch hit. He was a normal right-hand hitter, and he said, you got to go from the left side, too. And it was actually his dad that taught him to switch hit.
Well, I think it's better that way if you're a right-handed hitter to go left-handed because it helps you with your speed.
Line shot up the middle, and Silva just barely got out of the way. Fick racing hard. He's heading into third. The throw skitters by and to third base. Lopez with his second hit and almost took the pitcher with it into the outfield. And so they're safe on the corners here with 1 out, and Atlanta rattling the Sabres again. It's 10 hits now. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. MLB.com has the widest selection of items for the team you love. Shop MLB.com. How many times has Harry Kalas uttered the phrase, this game may not be disseminated? Go. Topper along third, Bell charges, comes home, a high throw, the tag, and he's out. Out at the plate.
Well, if Fick slides, he's probably safe.
Yeah, he is safe. He slides.
But he did not slide.
So that play goes 5-2. The non-sliding Fick wishes he had.
Well, the throw is high to the plate. And watch, Bell throws it high. He leaps up. Now, if he slides, he's underneath him. And actually, he's put a foot on the bag. But because he probably didn't execute properly, it made it a tough play for the umpire. So he called on to watch his left foot. Right there about the time they hit. Yeah. But if you slide, you're safe. And therefore, you're out. He says he's safe. He thought he was safe, but he did not slide, so you're out.
I don't know why he wouldn't slide.
I don't either.
You know, Joe, that's kind of a lost art in baseball.
Good point.
The art of sliding. I don't know why that is, but at spring training, we used to have sliding pits.
Practices,
and I mean, you would learn the hook slide and all kinds of different ways to slide, and now they don't seem to be teaching sliding much anymore.
No, I agree with you. It's kind of a lost art.
Matt Franco, the pinch hitter. How about Jeremy Giambi in the most celebrated recent case in the American League Championship Series, not sliding on that great play by Jeter. He was out at home.
Yeah, you have. I mean, I've always was taught that you had to slide at the plate. I mean, and you make it difficult for the umpire to make the call. Even if you're safe, you know, a lot of times you're going to be called out because it's a difficult call for the umpire.
And don't go in head first.
Right. Oh, man.
which you see a lot of players doing anymore.
Yeah.
And guys who get hurt and then come back, and like Manny Ramirez, they come back and they're doing it again.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't make any sense.
No.
Well, 2 on here, first and second occupied with 2 away. Franco trying to pick up an RBI coming off the bench. He pops up instead. Here comes Bell crossing into foul territory, and that'll do it. So a couple of base runners, but the man who was supposed to slide at home did not, and so it remains 6-0 Atlanta. Back at Veterans Stadium, it is 6-0 Atlanta. Dave O'Brien, Harry Kalas, and Joe Morgan, and a special delivery here, apparently. What do we have, Harry?
We have a plain and pepperoni Celebrezze pizza.
Well, you were talking about
They were listening to us
They
tonight.
were listening. Indeed, they were.
This in memory of the late great whiteness Richie Ashburn.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's a good looking pie right there.
Looking good.
It looks great, and I love pizza, but I've given up bread for a while.
Go ahead.
Well, I'll just have a piece of pepperoni.
One, just have one.
I'm just have a piece of pepperoni. I don't eat bread anymore. I give it up.
I'm not going to eat that piece. This is a great piece of pepperoni now, but
man, it's good.
Oh, it smells delicious. Now, where are they located here?
They're located right here in South Philadelphia, Packer Avenue, not 10 minutes from the ballpark.
And your former partner, Richie Ashburn, this was his place, his pizza joint.
Well, that's, late in games, would he get hungry? Whitey would appeal to Celebrezze, and they'd always deliver.
0-2 to count on Jimmy Rollins. And this is Trey Hodges, the right-hander, formerly out of Louisiana State, where he pitched in the College World Series, which you can watch these days on ESPN. Great tournament going. 183 his earned run average. He's pitched very well. 32 strikeouts in 34 1/3 innings. He jammed Rollins there, and the count 0-2.
So once again, the Braves will remain one of only 3 teams in Major League Baseball not to pitch a complete game, and yet they have the second best record in all of baseball. And Russ Ortiz certainly pitched 7 strong innings here.
Well, one of the things I'm looking at, you mentioned not being able to pitch 9 innings. I'm looking at the Yankees and Tampa Bay. Even though Roger Clemens gave up the base hit, there's still 0-0 in the bottom of the 9th. So whoever's pitching for Tampa Bay did a great job as well.
Really? Who is that for Tampa Bay? We're going to have to find that out.
Going toe-to-toe with the Rocket.
Really?
Swing and a miss, and nasty breaking ball. And Rollins strikes out. Well, Harry, not just a baseball announcer, a football announcer as well.
Sends a man at Mo's reverse to Bendrus, and Bendrus has blockers. Touchdown, Alabama. 4, 3, 2, 1. The 24th annual Liberty Bowl is history. Paul Bear Bryant goes out a winner in his final game. 21-15, Alabama.
The winningest coach of all time.
Winningest college coach of all time, and you were there to send him into retirement. Eric.
Quite an honor to call the Bears' last game, and he goes out a winner. What a man the Bear was.
For a lot of people who aren't baseball fans, they think of your voice and associate it with football, with your association, longstanding association with NFL film.
Right.
I mean, a lot of people have been watching highlights over the years and watching NFL films. They go, well, he's a football announcer. He sounds like he belongs on Sunday, doesn't he?
Well, I've been doing work for NFL Film since 1975 when John Facenda, the late great John Facenda, was a tremendous news anchor here in Philadelphia, was the main voice of NFL Films, and he was like a mentor to me. He taught me an awful lot and was such a wonderful man.
When do you do those? When do you tape those?
Tape those once the season starts. Every Wednesday I tape the Inside the NFL show, and so I miss a couple of baseball games in September, but really not that many.
Now, do they deliver pizza over to NFL Films?
No, the pizza that was delivered here we're sending down to the guys in the truck, right?
All right, good. Yes,
or is that
to the
wrong?
guys in the truck. That's correct. That's correct.
Cut on and missed by Bell. And we just got the word, Harry. That's why you're a living legend from the guys in the truck. As Bell is 0 for 3 tonight, and he, like Pat Burrell, is hearing it from the Boo Birds at the vet.
Well, there was such great expectation for this team offensively, and it just hasn't happened so far this year. And as you pointed out at the beginning, it's not still early. So they're going to have to really pick it up in a hurry. Do you expect Atlanta to fall off? I don't know.
A liner on one hop, scooped up by Giles off the deck, and it's a quick inning for Hodges. 1, 2, 3 go the Philadelphia Phillies. Bell now in a 7 for 62 slide. It's 6-0.
ESPN's Wednesday Night Baseball, brought to you by MCI, bringing voice and data solutions together on one global network. And protection for the way you drive. Pennzoil, we're driving protection.
Special night for us here at the vet in Philadelphia. Harry Kalas, the legendary voice of the Philadelphia Phillies, in the booth. And so far, he has not been a good luck charm. It is 6-0 Atlanta, and they've out-hit the Phils 10-4.
Yeah, Dave, look at that game at Yankee Stadium. They're now in the 10th inning, 0-0. The game that Roger Clemens was flirting with a no-hitter, but Tampa Bay's getting good pitching too. 0-0 in the 10th inning.
I just heard they named the new ballpark Citizens
Bank. Citizens Bank Park, correct.
Yeah. So it opens next year, and the Vet will no longer be the home to the Philadelphia Phillies. Is that at all sad for you?
Well, there are many fond memories of Veterans Stadium, having been here for all 33 years of the Vet. Yes, there are a lot of fond memories. So it's 27 years with Richie Ashburn as my broadcast partner, and following the entire Hall of Fame career of Mike Schmidt, the no-hitters that I've seen here, and 80 World Championship, and there we see rendition of the new ballpark, Citizens Bank Park across the street, with the Liberty Bell will be on hand. So when the Phillies hit a home run, that Liberty Bell fireworks will explode and it will light up. Liberty Bell, of course, a symbol of Philadelphia, and we see it here in this ballpark. But there will be a lot of fond memories, but it'll be great to get into the new ballpark, no question.
You see, one of the advents of the new place is the concourses are all opened up, unlike Veterans Stadium.
Yes.
And like the new ballparks, you referenced Camden Yards, it's very fan friendly, but wide open so you can grab a soft drink, a hot dog, and watch the game.
Right. You can go to concession stands, and there'll be several shops from left center to right center. There'll be entire walkways, so you can still see the game and enjoy your concessions. And that entire area is going to be called Ashburn Alley. So I think it's only fitting that it was named Ashburn Alley after my late great partner, and I can't wait to call a home run onto Ashburn Alley.
Well, it's interesting, and that's one of the things I like is the Giants at their new ballpark, Pacific Bell Park. They have a statue of Willie Mays. They have McCovey Cove and things, honoring their legendary players. And that's good that they're going to have something there for Richie.
It certainly is.
They're still unveiling statues here at Veterans Stadium. It occurred earlier today, in fact. I'm sure there'll be statues over at the new ballpark as well. But earlier today, Mayor John Street, Jimmy Rollins, and 5 living members of the Philadelphia Stars unveiled a Negro Leagues memorial statue here at the Vet. It was created as an everlasting tribute to the players of the Philadelphia Stars. They played in various Negro Leagues from 1933 to 1952. So a really sweet tribute. The Phillies will display that statue for the next 30 days here at the Vet. Then it will be placed in a permanent location on the corner of Belmont and Parkside Ave at Fairmount Park. Fouled away at the plate by Giles. He is hitless tonight. Gary Sheffield is not. In fact, Gary Sheffield has already homered this evening. He's driven in 2 runs. He's been on base 3 times. We were talking about this burgeoning MVP race, which really seems to be centering as Silva makes the catch on 2 men. Gary Sheffield approaching the plate again, and Albert Pujols, and this is Sheffield in the 6th.
Well, again, it doesn't matter how hard you throw. He can handle anybody's fastball, but he can also hit change-ups and curveballs out of the ballpark as well.
Well, there's still a lot of games to be played. Certainly Sheffield and Pujols are the front runners for MVP honors, but there are a lot of games to be played.
Base is empty for him here, and he almost got hit by the pitch. Inside, ball 1.
And I like that. I mean, he comes inside. Gary doesn't get upset. I mean, that's the way the game's supposed to play. Guy says you hit a bullet home run off me last time. I just need to let you know I'm still standing out here. and that's what a lot of guys used to say. I mean, I just want to remind them that I'm still here. Don't let them get too comfortable in the batter's box where they think that it's just them by themselves.
I'm sure there were a few pitchers in your time, Joe, that you really didn't like to hit against, but perhaps mean pitchers. Who were those guys?
Well,
it was tough hitting against Bob Veal, wasn't it?
Bob Veal, because he was a little erratic, and man, he threw as hard as Koufax.
Yeah.
But I guess, Don Cardwell was a guy that when I first came to the big leagues you worried about. And, I mean, there were several guys, and contrary to, most people's thought, Bob Gibson says he didn't hit many guys. they learn to get out of the way when he pitched.
There was always that potential.
Yeah.
Polanco called off by Abreu. He makes the catch. I looked at it recently in the 1967 World Series. Bob Gibson did not hit a single batter. He caused 7 coronary. Bottom of the 8th now. Philly coming up to bat. They trail 6-0, and Philadelphia running out of chances to bust up the shutout bid, which would be combined by the Atlanta Braves. So we were talking tonight when we came on the air, Joe, about all the offense Atlanta has generated this season, leading baseball in home runs on a record pace, in fact, and they have piled up 6 runs tonight. Sheffield has homered, but on the mound it's the same old Atlanta Braves, at least for tonight. I mean, they came in number 9 in earned run average, but tonight this is Atlanta.
Well, and not only that, they appear that they're going to get better. I mean, they're going to get Bird, coming off the disabled list, and I mean, Hampton is starting to throw the ball better. Maddox threw the ball great on Sunday when I saw him in Seattle. So, I mean, they could be the Braves with the good pitching and the great offense before the year is over. So they can only get better.
So Paul Bird there in the dugout. Up and in on Ricky Leday. Then it's Bobby Abreu and Placido Polanco. I know Harry enjoys saying that name just as much as I do. That rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
Yeah. I struggled with that name one day. I just could. I mean, Placido Polanco. I mean, I know it, and I just could not get it out.
Swinging a liner up the middle. Leday scalds a single. So the leadoff man is on here in the 8th inning, and ESPN's coverage of the 57th annual College World Series continues with game number 13 at Stanford against Cal State. Fullerton. And then on Thursday at 2 or 7, it's game 14 if necessary at 7 o'clock Eastern time. College World Series and ESPN also available on ESPN HD. That's high def. And Harry, on Sunday they have that high definition, which has really become the talk of the broadcast world. And Joe Morgan knows everything you need to know about high def because he and John Miller have perfected the art, really.
No, I think John invented the high definition, did he not? John Miller, my good buddy, who does the Sunday night games with the Sweet Pea with Joe Morgan.
Yeah, I have to tell you, it is fantastic. You're right. I mean,
great.
It's like you're there. That's the point. Whether I think it's better for sporting events than anything else. I mean, it's like you're there. You're on the field with these players, and even in basketball, it's like you're on the court. I mean, it's that the clarity is just so fantastic.
With some guys, I mean, let's face it, some people are better looking than others. I mean, if you get too close is too close.
Too close is too close.
Line drive under the glove of Giles. That's going to skitter through into right center field. The day had to wait to see if the ball would be scooped up or caught outright. It did hit the deck, and Abreu has his second hit tonight. Now, talking about Sunday Night Baseball, this week's question, you can vote on ESPN.com. Who is the best manager in Major League Baseball? Is it Bobby Cox? How about Dusty Baker, Tony La Russa, Joe Torre?
That's a good list.
Yeah.
That's a good list right there.
Bobby's calling you to vote for Bobby Cox right now. So we caught you, Bobby.
I tell you what, that's a good list.
Certainly is.
I wonder where Mike Scioscia is on that list.
Well, I don't think he's been around long enough. All those guys have been around for a long time.
Yeah, but it didn't say guys who are been managing for 15 or 18 years. It said the best manager. Mike Scioscia won a World Series, and he was the American League Manager of the Year.
Okay.
Just a thought.
Just a thought. All right.
He's Placido Polanco, and he takes a strike.
But I think this is baseball. We're going to make longevity part of it. Hey, part of my vote anyway. You can vote. You can write him in.
Well, it worked for you guys. You played a lot of years, went to the Hall of Fame. Harry broadcast a lot of years. He's in the Hall of Fame.
Longevity is important.
Longevity is worth a lot. As the Phillies try and bust through here in the 8th inning, that trickles foul.
Yeah, Dave, it's the truth. I laugh sometimes when I hear people say, well, the only reason this guy has big numbers is because he stayed around a long time. No one forces you to quit. You stay around as long as you're productive, and I think you should play as long as you're productive. I mean, your star might not shine as bright, as quickly as someone else's, but, I mean, if you stay there long enough and get 300 wins, etc., I still think that's important.
Or hit 715 home runs.
I think that's important.
Year after year, putting up 40, 35-40. That's amazing.
You don't hit 700 in 10 years.
Polanco late hits it foul quickly off to the right. 6 runs, 10 hits for the Braves. No runs and 6 hits for Philadelphia. It's been a well-played game defensively. Neither side has committed an error.
Harry, I have to ask you this question. Has there been any rumblings, around about Larry Bowa?
No, not really. Not really.
Good.
A little bit of rumbling,
always gonna be a little.
that sort of thing, because the offense has struggled.
Well, it looks like the offense is going to pick up a run finally on an RBI single from Placido Polanco. That chases in Leday. And there goes the Atlanta shutout. It is 6-1.
Well, the Phillies would like to get back in the game, but the only thing is, if they get within 3, then they'll probably be looking at Mr. Smoltz.
There's a breaking ball, and it hangs. Polanco hits it through the hole. Nice try there by Furcal. It was interesting. I was watching the Dodger-Giants game last night. When Gagne comes in, they put a big sign on the scoreboard. Game over. I mean, that's pretty cocky now.
I should say so.
I know, and he is good, but, man, that's putting a lot of pressure on him.
Well, King is going to come on and take over for Trey Hodges, because the batter will be Jim Thome, and they could get right back into this game real fast with the big guy in the batter's box. Harry Kalas, our special guest here tonight. We talked about his 3 sons, and one of his boys in particular would like to say a few words to Dad here.
Professionally, his impact is pretty apparent. Here I am following along and making baseball broadcasting a career, and he showed me what a great life that can be. But his more profound impact on me growing up was really how he treated people. And I think if you go around Veterans Stadium and you talk to a lot of the people that work there, they will call Dad their friend. And I think he treats the part-time security guard the exact same way he treats the team president. And that's something that I've tried to carry along with me as well. I know last year was the pinnacle of his broadcasting career, getting inducted into the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. But for me, if there is a Hall of Fame for good people, that would be a unanimous first ballot selection.
Wow.
Very
nice.
Wow.
I tell you what, and I've talked to him several times, because I see him when I used to go to Florida or whatever, and that he does feel that way. I mean, I'm telling you, he's correct in that Harry always treated everyone with the same amount of respect. I mean, he, like you said, from the lowest guy on the totem pole to the highest guy, you're always the same.
So nice to hear from my son Todd, who's with Tampa Bay. Thank you, guys. Thank you for all that you've done tonight. Good night.
No, thank you.
It's been wonderful.
For being on here with Dave. Otherwise, it's just been Dave and I as usual.
Yeah, same old
stuff.
Me and Sweet Pea.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, the truck says thanks for the pizza.
I'm glad they got it. Here's Ray King, Dave, and he leads the league in games. This is his 40th game, and they have been using their bullpen a good bit, have these Atlanta Braves. He's probably in here for one hitter for Thome, maybe, with the right-hand hitters due up after him.
And nobody out, so an opening here for Philadelphia. Jim Thome, who signed a huge deal, a 6-year, $87 million contract during a very busy winter. Fastball is high. In fact, he and his wife Andrea had a baby girl over the winter as well, Lila Grace, so he got a lot done.
Yes, he did.
One thing Ray King does is he comes right after you. So this is a good challenge for Thome. Yeah, I mean, he's going to just hook it up and say, I'm coming. See if you can hit it.
Thome is 2 for 5 off King, including a home run.
Baseball tonight coming up as soon as we finish up here in Philadelphia with the great Harry Kalas, Hall of Fame voice of the Philadelphia Phillies. Great that we were able to have Harry with us too in the last year of Veterans Stadium, where he has called so many incredible moments in the history of this franchise. Thome's trying to add to that list. He is 1 for 3 with a double, and that's a fastball in for a strike.
Good fastball, good location. Tommy understands that most teams like to pitch him in, especially with a left-handed pitcher. First pitch was in. This is supposed to be in, but it gets the outside corner. Good fastball from Ray King.
Well, last night the Braves walked Tommy 3 times. King is not trying to do that. Swing and a miss, and he got him with a high fastball. Some high cheese that he fancies.
Some real high cheese, but he does not mess around. He just comes after you. He said, if you can handle my fastball, handle it.
One batter appearance for King. He is going to be taken out now with a right-handed Pat Burrell and Mike Lieberthal coming up.
So Tommy punches out. No lightning that time. The pitching change will be back. Bottom of the 8th inning, 1 down here in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, the home state of this man, Kevin Grabowski, who is appearing in his 33rd game. A high earned run average. You see, he's walked 11 men in 22 2/3 innings. But the right-hander brought on to face Pat Burrell, who has a hit tonight. He's 1 for 3, but not too many hits lately. But a big power hitter, the right-hand power hitter, I should say, of the Philadelphia Phillies. The lefty version just struck out, Jim Thome. 2 on here. A run in for the Phillies. Burrell in his career 3 out of 4 against Grabowski. First pitch inside, ball 1.
It's a nice message from my son Todd. And Dave, you and Todd were classmates at Syracuse University.
I won't ask what year, but that's all right.
Well, you know, I love Todd as much as Harry almost, because he knows stuff about me that no one's supposed to know, and he's been quiet about it all these years, and he's pretending. I owe him so much just for being such a nice, quiet guy. Not when he's broadcasting, but I mean, you know, a terrific young broadcaster as well. I could say young. He's, you know,
yeah,
terrific young talent, and a heck of a classmate as well. Swing and a miss right over the top of it by Burrell. Another bad cut, and he has struck out 76 times.
Yeah, that was chasing a pitch out of his strike zone again, and that's what Pat has been doing.
Yeah, I mean, when you're struggling, that's what you do. You're swinging pitches out of the zone. I mean, if a hitter would always get strikes, he's very rarely going to a prolonged slump, but that's part of the equation.
Well, that went off the glove of Lopez. No advance by the base runners, but Burrell is definitely in a long slump. 10 hits in his last 58 at bats. Harry, you mentioned this earlier. On the right, their career averages.
Right.
And look at what they're doing on the left.
Yeah, none of them are hitting up to what they've done in their careers, that's for sure. Tommy, you can kind of understand in a new league, but Bell and Burrell and the Bray all have been in this league. And we've seen these pitchers.
Now, I realize you don't worry so much about batting average with a Jim Thome or Pat Burrell for that matter, because they're home run hitters, they're RBI guys. But when a guy is fighting the Mendoza line, that's another matter.
Really. Whoever came up with the Mendoza line, Sweet Pea?
I don't know, but it was for Mario Mendoza. Remember, he played for the Pirates.
Line drive, that's going to sink for a base hit. The Braves going to try and score. Here comes the throw from Chipper Jones. It comes through. Play at the plate. He's out at home. Great throw by Chipper Jones.
Yeah, but I don't understand why you take a chance, you know, when you're down by 5 runs. I mean, it was a one-hopper, a perfect throw, a perfect play for you to throw on.
And Abreu didn't figure he was going to be waved on. He was kind of easing up into third base when John Vukovich waved him on.
And a perfect throw by Chipper Jones, one hop right to Javi Lopez.
And of course, if they hold him up, if Abreu does not try and score, the bases are loaded here.
Yeah.
And you get with one out, Mike Lieberthal the batter, a home run threat. Right. And you have a chance to jump right back in it.
I'm gonna say one thing that in defense of the Vukovich, the coach, what he could have been thinking is that they weren't going to try to get that runner at home because it didn't mean anything, and they didn't want to throw and allow the runner, I mean the guy with the ball, to move up the base as well.
Could it also be work, Joe, that it's Chipper Jones? He's a converted third baseman.
Yeah. But Chipper throws pretty well. I mean, he actually does. He has a pretty good accurate arm. And that was a one hopper to him. So, I mean, truthfully, it was one hopper about chest high. That was the key. He didn't have to bend down and then straighten up.
Right on the money.
Right on the money.
So 2 away, and it's popped up and twist back at a play by Lieberthal. And another look at the Chipper Jones chuck here.
See, that's right there, left shoulder. He doesn't have to do anything but catch it, turn, and throw. He didn't have to reach down. He didn't have to move to the side or anything. Here you see the coach. I mean, he's looking, trying to make up his mind. Now he says go right there. But as Harry said, Abreu had slowed down.
Yeah.
He actually slowed down. He didn't think he was going to go because it didn't, again, his run didn't mean a lot.
I didn't either. I thought he'd take that wide turn as they always do and put the brakes on, and that would be it. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Lieberthal. He singled back in the 4th inning. He was 3 for 4 last night. But now they're 2 away for him. It's 6-1 Atlanta. Home half of the 8th inning. Our living legend tonight, Harry Kalas, who's been entertaining us with stories about Joe Sweet Pea Morgan and ordering pizza and all sorts of great stuff. Tales of Mike Schmidt. Swing and a miss. Lieberthal retired. So despite 4 hits in the inning, the Phillies managed just 1 run. And a runner cut down at home as well.
Mike Schmidt's 500th home run. I was at that game, and that was a big moment for him because, as I recall, it wasn't his inning, but I think Andy Musser was supposed to be on the air at the time, and just said, Harry, you really ought to be on the air for this just in case he hits it.
To me, Harry's going in the Hall of Fame for his voice, for his calls, for the number of years he's been doing this and been a legend. But I think what a lot of people don't realize is that as a person, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
Very nice. You have a lot of partners who love you, my man.
Well,
especially slider throwing Larry Anderson.
L.A. goes slide ball.
That was it, wasn't it?
But he would run out there, he's 17-year career in the major leagues, and he'd run out there every other day if you ask him.
Plus, he's so ultra serious. Just look at him all the time. You can never get him to, tell a joke or crack anybody up.
Yeah, he's great fun to be around.
Laced and caught out of the air by Bell. So Chipper Jones, who has 2 hits tonight, is retired here in the 9th inning in front of 26,475 at the Vet.
That were here.
A lot of them are headed for the exits.
Leday stayed in the game to play left field at bat in the 9th spot where he pinch hit, and Jose Mesa now the pitcher. Now Mesa's the Phillies closer. The reason he's pitching tonight, Dave, is that he has not pitched since June 9th, so it's been 9 days. He last pitched in Anaheim.
It's a long time for a closer not to pitch.
Is he one of those closers that needs to work a lot?
Well, you got to keep him sharp. We haven't had a situation where we need a closer. Last night, winning on a walk-off base hit in the bottom half of the 9th inning, and then the last win pounded Cincinnati 12-1. And so they really haven't. For 9 days, they haven't needed a closer.
So Mesa in a 6-1 game works the 9th and pitches to Andrew Jones, who is hitless so far. We're talking a lot about Mike Schmidt tonight. Whenever we come to Philadelphia, you can't escape the fact that Mike Schmidt was a legendary player here and created so much excitement here. But in 1973, he batted .196. The next year, they hit him 8th in the batting order on opening day. It was 1974. But in the 9th inning, and you called it, he hit a 2-run game-winning home run off Tug McGraw of the Mets. He went on that year to hit .282 with 36 homers, 116 RBIs. My question is, how many more days before they took him out of the 8th spot? Couldn't have been too long.
No, there was no question that Michael Jackson. You could just see the raw ability of Mike Schmidt.
A lot of raw ability in this guy's becoming polished ability in Andrew Jones. He pops that one up, and they're 2 away in the Atlanta 9th inning.
We talk about the Phillies being their only world championship 1980, but probably more exciting to me than that was winning the league championship series that year against Houston, a gut-wrenching series in which they had to win Game 5 and come back against Nolan Ryan down 5-2 in the 8th inning.
Oh, yeah.
And Noli had some fantastic record of carrying leads into late innings where he never lost.
He had 102 out of 105 when he went to the Astros. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was a typo.
Unbelievable. And once, you know, I mean, once they won that, the league championship series, there was no doubt in my mind they were going to win the World Series. That was.
I hate that you had to remind me of that. I was on the Astros that year.
You came back. No, he had a 5-2 lead in the 8th.
Polanco with a terrific play to get Robert Fick at first base. Very close play, but Polanco dug it out. 1-2-3 go the Braves. It is 6-1 Atlanta going to the bottom of the ninth.
Hi, folks. I'm Carl Ravitch, along with Peter Gammons and Rob Dibble following the game. Baseball tonight. A number of near no-hitters tonight. Roger Clemens goes for his 301st. We'll update the Kevin Brown condition. He was near perfect last night. Plus all the games that are going on. You'll get the updates as they happen following the game.
Bottom of the ninth inning, and Grabowski looking to preserve this one for Atlanta and even up this series. A key series, even though it is just the middle of June. Last night, Philadelphia won in the ninth inning, 4-3. And the Braves may have taken care of this one very early with 2 runs in the first inning off of a guy who used to be one of their own, Kevin Millwood, and 2 more in the third and 2 in the 6th inning. Gary Sheffield is homer tonight. Here's Jimmy Rollins trying to start a comeback in the bottom of the ninth inning. He's gone 0 for 3. Rollins, an all-star shortstop. He takes strike 1. So the win will go to Russ Ortiz if the Atlanta bullpen holds this 5-run advantage, and he'll improve to 8-4. And just as importantly, Atlanta will win for the 11th time in his 16 starts.
And Atlanta will improve to 49-20. Well, let's see. 46-23 for the season.
What did Seattle do today? Or where are they?
Seattle's probably.
What is the score? 2-0.
Well, they just started. They're playing Anaheim at Seattle. Nothing game.
Now Seattle with the best record in baseball coming into tonight.
Atlanta right behind them. 2-2 the count to J. Rowe, tops a foul. Joe Morgan, we were talking, you know, about tough pitchers. Bob Veal as a left-hander hitter facing Bob Veal. And Bob Gibson.
Yeah.
Every hitter that I ever talked to during his era said Sanford Koufax was just, you know, you'd step in the batter's box, you'd be so comfortable. He was a comfortable 0 for 4. I mean, Sandy Koufax, it was a joy to watch him pitch. He was so fluid and so smooth. Rollins thrown out. And nobody was intimidated by him, but you just never hit him.
Well, you weren't intimidated because he had a smooth delivery and he was straight over the top. You know, being straight over the top, you know, like you said, it was a comfortable offer, but he had the best stuff day in and day out of anyone you'd ever see. I mean, I never saw him when he wasn't like you thought he might pitch a no-hitter that day.
Yeah.
I mean, every time I saw him, he was like that. You know, I saw some of the other guys when, you know, they were down a little bit on their velocity or something, but I never saw him that way.
David Bell is 0 for 3, is lined out, popped up, and struck out. Grabowski trying to close this one out for Atlanta. 1 ball and 1 strike. And of course, as players, we were around early enough to see the great Willie Mays play this game. He was, boy, wow.
You know, I think
talk about a 5-tool player. He could do everything.
Well, I still think, obviously, he's the greatest player that I ever saw.
Yeah.
You know, he was just unbelievable. And I mean, that's saying a lot because I played against Clemente, I played against Aaron, I played against Frank Robinson.
Right.
All the great players. And I think Mays just had that extra flair.
Well, you remember that game in San Francisco where he scored the only run of a 1-0 game in the 7th inning. Denny LeMaster against Juan Marichal. It's 0-0. He's the runner at first base. Jim Rayhart, 1 out, singles to left. Dick Simpson was the Houston left fielder, not Harry Suitcase Simpson. They call this guy Dick Briefcase Simpson. He was kind of lollygagging after the ball, and Mays kept going to third. Now Aspromonte's a cutoff man. Bob Aspromonte's waiting for the cutoff throw. Kind of glares out in left field as much as to say, how can you let him go first to third on a hit to left? Willie keeps going. Scores, nowhere on the play, only run of the game, 1-0 game. Scoring from first on a base hit to left field.
Wow.
No error on it.
Now, that's making it happen.
Really?
Well, he did that. Not only he made it happen like whether he was playing defense, running the bases, or in the batter's box. See, a lot of guys can play batter's box. A lot of guys can hit. And a lot of guys can, you know, some guys can play defense, guys can run bases, but to do all of those things as well as he did, you know, is probably the top thing I've ever seen.
Line drive hit off the bat of David Bell, so he is a 1-out base runner for Marlon Byrd.
To use one of my basketball analogies, George Gervin once told me, he said, Joe, everybody can dunk, but everybody can't finger roll. so you see with Willie Mays, a lot of guys could hit, but everybody couldn't hit like Willie Mays and do all the things that he could do.
What would you say was the best arm you ever saw in the outfield?
Now that's a tough one. Now, you know, you have to start with Clemente, probably.
Yeah, Clemente.
Probably. But I tell you, I played with a guy, Cesar Geronimo, in center field.
Chief.
I think he may have had the best arm from center field, from straight, you know, in the outfield. But remember one thing, when you're playing left field or right field, you get a chance to throw guys out because it's a lot shorter throw.
Right.
Center field's a long throw. And Geronimo, I think, probably had the best arm I've seen on a center fielder.
1-1 the count to Marlon Byrd. Bouncing ball to shortstop. They're going to get one. They are going to end the game with a 6-4-3 double play, and Atlanta has won here at Veterans Stadium tonight by a score of 6-1. Gary Sheffield a home run. Braves scored 2 in the first and didn't look back, and they evened this series at 1 game apiece.
We have had so much fun here tonight, Harry Kalas, and it did not result in a Philadelphia victory as it goes 6-1 Atlanta, but just a thrill for us. All of those who heard you over the years, what a great treat for us.
It's great to see. I really enjoyed being with you.
28 years to get together in the booth again, but it's been fun.
You've made it so comfortable for me. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Tremendous for us. Comfortable listen, I would have to say, ultimately, Harry Kalas. And let's go back and listen to a home run call. It didn't go the Phillies' way. This is Harry Kalas at the mic with Gary Sheffield in the box.
Buggy whips that bat through the strike zone, out of here. Home run, Gary Sheffield. No doubt about it. And the Braves take a 6-0 lead here in the 6th inning. Number 19.
I'm writing down buggy whips as we speak. Consider that stolen, Harry. Hall of Famer Harry Kalas. Great to have him with us as part of our Living Legend series here on ESPN. Atlanta wins it by a final score of 6-1. And coming up next, it's Baseball Tonight. For Joe Morgan and Harry Kalas and our entire ESPN crew here at Veterans Stadium, thanks so much for being with us. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.